to all 5 states over the next few hours. So wherever you are, grab a cup of coffee. It's a long evening ahead, and we're going to give you exactly what the pollsters are saying are the big trends in the battle for 2022. Rahul.
Speaking of battles, we've been focused fully on the big war in Ukraine, but we are breaking away for the next 4 hours. We want to give our viewers a sense of what to expect this evening. We'll start at 6:30 p.m. With the state of Punjab. Remember, till 6:30 we can't reveal our numbers. We'll start with Punjab. We'll take you through Uttarakhand, Goa, Manipur, and then we'll count down to that big state of Uttar Pradesh. Rajdeep is so excited, he's literally jumping off his seat. Rajdeep?
You know, I prefer results day because I don't get, results is the ultimate test. But exit polls are interesting, exciting because they give a sense, I think, more than just the gyan that we get on the road. At the pollster, I still believe Rahul perhaps has a little bit more of data than we can have. We can provide the analysis. Anecdotes. We can provide the hawa. I have a sense of which way the hawa is going, but I would like to see what the pollsters say.
1,21,000. That's the size of our sample for the state of Uttar Pradesh. In Punjab, where we'll start from, it's 28,000. This is the most robust polling exercise that's conducted across any television network. 300 plus voters in every constituency. We'll take you through the numbers for Punjab, Uttar Pradesh and all the other states. Let's first take you through the headlines.
Voting done. All eyes now on the big exit poll numbers. India Today, Axis, My India will put out the exit poll results for 5 states shortly, starting with Punjab at 6:30 p.m.
Nearly 54% polling in the 7th phase of elections in Uttar Pradesh. Who has the edge? Find out on India's #1 election destination.
Which way will Punjab go? Will Charanjit Singh Channi be able to beat back anti-incumbency, or will AAP and Bhagwant Mann sweep Punjab in a mood for change? And what of the Akalis this time?
Who will win the battle of Goa, Uttarakhand and Manipur? Stay tuned for the biggest poll predictions on India Today.
It's day 12 of Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Kharkiv continues to be under siege. Russia declares a ceasefire to help India evacuate its citizens from 4 of the worst hit cities.
So what we'll do till 6:30 p.m. is a bit of panditry. You haven't seen the numbers, our experts haven't seen the numbers. We'll try and find out how close they're likely to be later to the actual results. Let me introduce you to the pundits joining us in the studio. Rahul Verma joins us, one of our sharpest new generation political scientists, deep sense of quantum analysis. Professor Sanjay Kumar of CSDS is with us. He's doing his own post-poll study, so he does have the benefit of research. His own pollsters out on the ground, more from an academic perspective, but his insights are always very sharp. Rakesh Sinha ji is wearing just the right shade of saffron. He's cheering for Yogi, cheering for the BJP, and he's joining us in the studio. To my left, I want to introduce our senior editor, Harmeet Shah Singh. He's usually on the desk, but insisted that he wanted to be out on the field in Punjab, which is what he did. I hope your family is okay and happy to have you back. Rahul Srivastav joins us. He's been away across Uttar Pradesh. That's his native state. Understands the nuances and the minutiae of UP politics virtually better than anyone else I know. Rahul, welcome. Great to have you back and outside your Jeep. Preeti Chaudhary joins us. Try and keep her away from the field and you'll find out. She's been traveling through Goa, she's been to Punjab, she's been to Uttar Pradesh, and she's here. And Rajdeep, you've been eating a lot on your plate.
I've been eating in every state except Uttarakhand. Somehow I missed out on Uttarakhand, and then Ukraine happened and I missed out on Eastern UP. But yes, this is a wonderful country, and food is part of the wondrousness of India. So you can go to Manipur, go to Ukhrul and have pork curry. You can come to Goa and have fish curry. You can be in Uttar Pradesh and you can have the best tunde kebab, and you can be in Punjab and have the best butter chicken.
So I see Rajdeep's being safe. He didn't mention beef curry anywhere. I said he's going to get us into trouble before we just got started.
But the fact is that this is an important election because this is the first big election after the second wave of COVID. It comes at a time when the economy has gone through various shocks. It comes at a time when Mehengai has been an issue, Berozgari, joblessness. But on the other side, you've got Mr. Modi and in this case in UP, Yogi Adityanath, the so-called double engine. And therefore, it's a huge test, Rahul, because post-2019, the BJP has had mixed results in state elections, lost a couple of them, and therefore, this is a critical election for the BJP and for the Congress, because in 4 of the 5 states, the battle is BJP versus Congress. So for Rahul Gandhi, who's invested a lot of his equity in Punjab, Priyanka Gandhi Vadra in UP, and indeed for Arvind Kejriwal, the X factor of Indian politics, can he win Punjab?
So Rajdeep has the numbers, so I won't ask him, but I'll go across to Rahul Verma first. Give our viewers a sense of what to look out for in Punjab. When they're looking at the numbers, what are you picking up? I'm not looking for seat shares and vote share from you, just a broad sense of what to look out for from 6:30 onwards.
Okay, so the biggest thing about Punjab this election compared to 2017, one is the decline in turnout. That's a big decline. And
why did it go down in your view?
I don't have an idea. I don't think any one of... we will get a better idea once the results are out, because then we can look at patterns. But there is a difference in turnout patterns across regions. That's the first. Second, everyone is talking about basically surge in numbers for AAP. The question would be how far Akalis are going, because that will tell us about the position of Congress in Punjab, whether it will remain a competitor or will it melt down.
Sanjay Kumar, what will you be looking out for in Punjab?
Rahul, I think there have been talk about a multi-cornered contest in Punjab. We have been talking about the 3 main players, as well as there are other players as well. So I think one needs to watch when the exit poll assessments come out, whether it is going to be whether it was really a multi-cornered contest, whether it was a 2-way contest or whether it was a 3-way contest. There have been assessment that Aam Aadmi Party has surged ahead of other parties. That's the assessment from the ground. What is the extent of that surge, and whether Aam Aadmi Party has been able to surge in all the 3 regions? There have been talk about that.
Sure, because in 2017 also, you might recall, the Aam Aadmi Party was seen as the party surging ahead, but as we saw, the Congress won. But let's go to our 3 people on the ground and get from them what they think they're looking most forward to. Preeti, what are you most looking forward to, given the fact that you've been on the ground in Uttar Pradesh, Punjab, other parts?
Well, if you're talking about Punjab, then Rajdeep, as a journalist,
Not just Punjab, across India, what is the most thing you're looking forward to?
Well, in Punjab, what I'm looking forward to is to know, because as a journalist, I clearly saw the chemistry lie with the Aam Aadmi Party. Does the arithmetic lie, with the Akalis or the Congress? That is what's said. What I am looking for is, where Punjab is concerned, is I actually don't see a hung assembly. Like most of them said that there could be tight, things depends how Akalis do, will we know how Congress will do. What I picked up, I'm just telling you very organically what I picked up from ground. I picked up, and it's very rare that a journalist can pick up a wave. I saw a wave for the Aam Aadmi Party. Will it translate into votes? We'll only know at least with our exit polls now. Okay, Rahul, you've traveled the most through Uttar Pradesh, your Karma Bhumi, your Janma Bhumi both. Mr. Modi's Karma Bhumi now. What have you picked up there?
Razi, the hunter is getting hunted.
The hunter, i.e. the ruling party.
The BJP is the hunted now. I think this election will be decided by 2 very critical things. One is how potent is the underground subterranean Hindutva element, because the voters may say a lot outside the polling booth, but when they get inside and pressing the button, what weighs the heaviest on their mind? That Hindutva element or rest, Naukri, Pesha, Jati and everything. And I think this is an election, Rajdeep, about one of the most marginalized sections of the society, and economically marginalized, perhaps assertively deciding that they had joined the BJP last time around. But this time they will tell whether their aspirations will decide their vote or not, Rajdeep, because I have seen a lot of anger among this section on basic roti kapda makan elements.
Interesting.
That Jat.
Rakeshji, what are you picking up? What's at stake for the BJP in these places?
No, I think Bharatiya Janata Party is sustaining democracy in India. Most of the parties are contesting the elections on the basis of individualism and the dynasts. The party, you just see the election, because the election results would come and we would analyze the pitfall of the election results. But you see, the political parties are contesting on the basis of one individual, whether Arvind Kejriwal in Punjab, here Akhilesh Yadav in Uttar Pradesh, or just see the scenario. But here Bharatiya Janata Party's entire machinery is involved in the election. We are door-to-door contact. Even the Home Minister and Prime Ministers, they are campaigning just like the workers. So why I say democracy is, we are sustaining democracy, because there is a party who is considers the importance of the worker, considers the importance of the election, and you know the workers from different parts of the state, India, went to Uttar Pradesh, Uttarakhand, other parts to do election campaigning. One important factor, what I find that anti-BJPism has no solid base. They try to create anti-BJPism, just like anti-Congressism was created in 1967 and later on 1977. But here you find that there is a fragmentation in the opposition parties on the question of issues, on the question of leadership.
Interesting the way you are putting it. You believe the opposition is fragmented, and you believe the BJP is offering the democratic alternative because the BJP is not dynastical. Yes. Harmeet, as Rahul was mentioning, you've been traveling across Punjab, and Punjab is fascinating this time because of all that has happened in the last 6 months in Punjab. Chief ministers being changed, Navjot Singh Sidhu being brought in as a party president, first Dalit Sikh chief minister, and the Aam Aadmi Party factor. What did you pick up?
Well, there is one thing. Is there a complete disenchantment with the Akalis and the Congress there? That's one thing. If there is complete disenchantment, then of course we will see a sweep of Aam Aadmi Party. But if there is no complete disenchantment with these two parties, then it's going to be a hung assembly. I mean, this is my sense. And if it's going to be a hung assembly, the critical question then will be who will be the kingmaker. You see, we have seen Punjab from the eyes of...
Punjab has never had a hung assembly, Harmeet. So this would be history if it is had.
It did. In 1967, there was a hung assembly. In 1969, there was a hung assembly. And before that, Punjab has a history of having mergers. Punjab has a history of having coalition governments. Punjab has a history of having post-poll alliances, pre-poll alliances. You know, what we are aware of is that there are only pre-poll alliances. But yes, if there is going to be some sort of a hung assembly, who will be the kingmaker, who will go with which side? Remember, in 1967, this happened. Akalis were on the one side, and you know, they all with different ideology, Republican Party of India, Communist Party of India, Communist Party, Marxist, Jan Sangh, they all banded together.
So you're saying history in Punjab doesn't rule out the possibility of a hung assembly.
Okay, fair enough. Harmeet's credentials as a Punjab political commentator also rest on him getting Punjab right.
No, because he knows, and this is also off the record, I've had a lot of bets.
Off the record, you're on national TV. What is off the record on national TV?
No, off the record, just a minute, Rahul. Off the record are the numbers, but Harmeet and I have a bet going on Punjab. Preeti and I have a bet going, a lunch bet on Uttar Pradesh. So there's lots for me to look forward to if on the 10th, if I'm right on the 10th.
If there is a coalition government, then it will be history. A new history will be created.
That's right. So coalition government would be
Can we go to some of our reporters and get a sense of what's happening? Because we've got Manjeet Saigal from Chandigarh, Samarth Srivastav joins us from Lucknow, and we have Aishwarya Paliwal joining us from Varanasi. Varanasi is where the elections happened today, the last phase of polling. So let's go across to Aishwarya first. If you give our viewers a sense of that stunning backdrop. I mean, just imagine. This is just the perfect time, Aishwarya, to be out in Varanasi just around the time of the Aarti. Give our viewers a sense of all that you picked up through the day during the 7th phase of polling.
Yes, Rahul, you are right. You know, I am definitely enjoying the scene out here. The Aarti will begin in just a couple of minutes. But one thing which is very crucial, especially if we talk about Varanasi, you know, I have been to various polling booths. Rahul, everyone who's gone to vote has some issue or the other they want to vote on, they want to talk about. If we talk about the women, safety is their issue. If we talk to the farmers, they say the chutta bail, all the stray cattle is a big issue. The middle class people talk about their economic growth, the growth of Varanasi. So one thing which is very clear in the elections in Uttar Pradesh is that every voter who's going to the polling booth, he or she has some issue or the other. And, you know, one thing which we really now need to see is people have been very silent. We have been trying to speak with a lot of people. Some of them are very vocal, but a majority is the silent voter. They don't want to talk about it. And I think, Rahul, those are the voters which might be the deciding factor in this elections. Rahul.
And the man for whom this is the biggest moment is really the Baba Bulldozer, Yogi Adityanath. Since 1989, 34 years plus, no chief minister has come back to power. Uttar Pradesh has always seen change after 5 years. If Yogi Adityanath is able to buck that trend, he in any case is first amongst equals amongst UP chief ministers. He goes one notch up even more. We've got Abhishek Mishra.
No, in fact, just to add, no chief minister of Uttar Pradesh has completed 5 years and then got re-elected. Never happened in the history of Uttar Pradesh. No, never happened. Not 5 plus 5. No full term. No full term 5-year chief minister has then got re-elected in the history of Uttar Pradesh. So in many ways, if the BJP wins Rahul Uttar Pradesh, it would be scripting a new history.
And wins, Rajdeep, the critical thing is, do they just scrape through or do they win big? There are different political ramifications for Yogi Adityanath on both those scenarios.
Absolutely.
Abhishek Mishra joins us from Gorakhpur. Abhishek, give our viewers a sense of everyone around the mutt in Gorakhpur where Yogi Adityanath comes from. How charged up are they about the performance of Yogi Adityanath in these big assembly elections?
Well, absolutely, Rahul sir, and there is a lot of excitement among the people from Gorakhpur, because it is the first time when Yogi Adityanath is contesting as for an MLA, and that too from Gorakhpur urban seat. And the relevance and the impact it has is not just about the 9 seats of Gorakhpur, but it's all about all those 46 seats who are adjoining to the Gorakhpur, and the mutt has a strong hold, strong impact and a direct impact on all those seats. It was very clear from the beginning when Yogi Adityanath decided to get into the battle against the Samajwadi Party, and he opted for the Gorakhpur. And we have seen during the polling in Gorakhpur how there has been a lot of talk about the kind of the governance model which Yogi Adityanath has projected throughout the 5 years. There has been issues about taking charge of the Mafiavad, law and order. At the same time, the beneficiaries who were given ration, and all those issues have been prominent throughout the campaign for Yogi Adityanath. And when we spoke to him in Ayodhya and in Gorakhpur, he was very confident about his victory. He said that the BJP is going to get 300 plus. That was the number he was giving. And he said that there has been a change as far as the issues are concerned, and the BJP has successfully able to address all those issues in past 5 years.
But majorly, the BJP's assessment is more conservative than Yogi Adityanath's assessment. If you speak to those who Yogi Adityanath is speaking to on a daily basis, he's insisting, Rajdeep, the 300 plus. In Delhi, the central leadership thinks 250 plus, but Yogi Adityanath himself is saying, I've done my maths, I know each of these seats, I think it's 300 plus.
It's very interesting that Uttar Pradesh has gone through phases. 6 months ago, everyone thought this was let's put it this way, in the aftermath of COVID, and people thought that the BJP had a struggle. As you came closer to the election announcement, people thought, who's the opposition? Where is the opposition that's going to come to the BJP? BJP will win. Then in the last 10 days, I've suddenly been seeing a lot of editorial comment, which seems to suggest it's a tight race and maybe Akhilesh wins. I myself wrote a piece 2 weeks ago suggesting BJP will win and got into trouble. I didn't say BJP will win, but said they had a clear lead. So my sense is that Uttar Pradesh has, as you've gone from west to east, there has been a change in the mood. In the west, it appeared Samajwadi Party. Then as you go into the east, things change. So we don't know which way UP goes. And therefore, I think, as you say, there are conflicting versions. The BJP doesn't seem as confident as Yogi Adityanath seems. And Akhilesh seems very confident. Akhilesh seems very confident.
But can I just say this? When the BJP projects confidence, Rakesh ji, is usually when they think that things aren't necessarily very good and they're trying to pump up everyone. When the BJP appears anxious, is usually when they know they're doing well, but they want to ensure that nobody goes slow. Thanda nahi hona hai, tight rehna, tight. So the BJP makes it seem as if everything is very anxious. Tight rehna, tight. But when they're winning, they're very calm. When they're losing, he's trying to ensure that everybody's morale stays up. And that seems to be the way they do a bit of reverse psychology.
No, I think this time Bharatiya Janata Party knows that the contest is a social coalition, a very strong social coalition. And that social coalition constitutes, MOI. They are very aggressive against the Bharatiya Janata Party. So Bharatiya Janata Party has to mobilize the democratic forces against the reactionary coalition. The caste and communal coalition, they came to as a deterrent to the Bharatiya Janata Party. That reflected in the editorial comments of most of the newspapers, that because they are very vocal, they want to stop BJP. The reasons well known to the people. So I think that Bharatiya Janata Party has campaigned on the issues which are the soft powers of the state. Rajdeep, what people confuse, when BJP raises the soft power in Uttar Pradesh, they say that this is a communal issue. When Varanasi is projected, that is not the same Varanasi would have been in the America, that was a great symbol of the Varanasi.
Rakesh ji, when Yogi Adityanath speaks of 80-20, speaks of Abba Jan, speaks the language in a way that is seen to be a bulldozer, the language of bulldozer, You're telling me it has nothing to do with creating an alternate coalition that is not in a way communal? You accuse the MY coalition of being of reactionary and being communal.
You know, in
80-20 is also playing the same communal politics.
In democracy, not only the ideas but the expressions varied. You can't say the same expressions, same language, and Abba Jan is nothing wrong. If says तुम्हारा अगर मान लीजिए मैं भाषण देता हूँ और कहता हूँ तुम्हारा बाप, कोई कहता है तुम्हारा अब्बा जान, तो how do you say that this is attack on a particular community? No. अब्बा जान या कोई इंग्लिश में कहे your father, then I say that it is attack on the Christians. No, it is not at all. Okay, it is expression of Yogi Adityanath ji, and he is a very democratic, secular person. And if people don't like the saffron clad, that
let's get a sense from Manjeet Saigal in Chandigarh about the mood in Punjab. You know, the election was so far back that everybody's been on holidays or they've been to some kind of a detox ashram. And now, Manjeet, give our viewers a sense of the political pulse in Punjab right ahead of the big India Today Access My India exit poll.
Well, Rahul, the people of Punjab were expecting two things in 2022 assembly elections. One, Aam Aadmi Party had appealed people to vote for a change. Then Congress was facing a 5-year-long anti-incumbency. In that sense, we were expecting that there will be a heavy turnout or a bumper poll, but that did not happen. If we compare the data with 2017, there was a drop of more than 5%, and not only in the areas where the Congress was voted to power last time, but in other areas as well. For instance, in Malwa belt, which happens to be a stronghold of Aam Aadmi Party, out of 28 seats in South Malwa belt, Rahul, 14 seats witnessed a drop of 5% in vote share or a turnout. Aam Aadmi Party claimed that there was an undercurrent for the party. People were in support. Congress leaders claimed that if the voter turnout was not heavy, it means people were not angry with the Congress party and the anti-incumbency was missing. So these were the two factors, Rahul, people were expecting, but this did not happen. We spoke to many suffragists as well. They said,
that's interesting that you put out the voter turnout, because normally you think vote for change, voter turnout will be high.
But it's impossible.
Is that true?
It's impossible to know whether high voter turnout...
Yeah, I'm just wondering whether there is any correlation that only if you have a high voter turnout, does that suggest a mood for change? Traditionally, that's how, we saw psephology, that the more the numbers people came, it was a mood for change. Is that true or not true?
Among many myths which gets created, that's also a myth. 30 years of data basically tells you increase or decrease in turnout has nothing to do with whether the government is coming back to power or not. And among other myths is one of the myths, silent voters, which also we keep discussing. So we keep creating these myths without having a lot of...
No, politicians do. In Punjab, the day the voter turnout fell, those who were, because a number of us who went in the field were talking of Badlav, and there's a possibility of Badlav. The moment the voter turnout went lower, politicians said, where is the Badlav? There cannot be Badlav if there's lower voter turnout.
As far as silent voters is concerned, I'm giving just example. There's a certain caste or certain community which against the BJP traditionally. But when the benefits reaches to them, central government and state government, and a section of them vote without shouting that they are pro-BJP, without claiming that they are pro-BJP, publicly they declaim BJP, but internally they support BJP, that is the silent vote. That's sometimes...
Okay, respond now.
See, I'm not saying there are no silent voters, but silent voter is also not a monolith category. There are so many different types of silent voters that ultimately the net result cancel out. So if you think that silent voter, like if there is an increase in turnout, there is going to be a badlav. And if you think that there is a silent voter always going to vote out the government, that's not true. Okay. They also vote for the government, they also vote against it. So the net effect basically
So we'll take a quick break, Rajdeep.
We have to take breaks, okay?
Just a very quick break. When we come back, we'll put out the first set of post-poll data. Remember, this is not an exit poll in the traditional sense. We're just standing outside a polling station randomly and trying to catch people as they come out. This is a very intense post-poll exercise conducted over days. Every single assembly constituency has been visited by the Access pollsters. We'll get you the details of our first state on the other side of a very quick break. Stay with us.
Crypto Watch brought to you by Big BNS.
To understand elections, you've got to get to the heart of the action.
What's moving voters on the ground? You need to be out where the action is.
Our election coverage ensures that every voice is heard.
The most in-depth analysis and by far the most accurate exit polls.
India Today brings together decades of ground reportage with the A-team of psephologists.
Most accurate, trustworthy exit polls.
With so much at stake in these elections, there's only one destination for everything in Indian politics.
Watch State of War Exit Poll March 7th, 6 p.m. onwards, only on India Today TV.
The car that's in your heart is the car that really matters. Škoda Slavia. It's all that matters. Škoda. Simply clever.
Ukrainians are armed and ready to defend their motherland. Amongst their choice of weapons are homemade Molotov cocktails. Now, these are not to be confused with your regular cocktails because these Molotovs are not for sale. What is a Molotov cocktail? Known as the poor man's grenade, the Molotov cocktail is an incendiary weapon.
Moves your world. Titan Mechanical.
Will Metaverse replace our reality? Can it? We don't know that yet, but in its present form, it kind of is a duplicate of the physical world. But the only way to access it is via the internet. The idea of Metaverse has its roots in many sci-fi narratives from the 90s. It exists either as immersive online games, workrooms, virtual concerts, or much more. So what can you do in the Metaverse? Apparently a lot. From watching your favorite pop star to working as personalized avatars in a virtual workspace, Metaverse can make that happen. It will eventually be possible to do exactly what we do in reality thanks to a virtual reality freed from physical constraints. As interactions increase, it will be possible to meet people, make purchases, and pay in cryptocurrency or go sightseeing while staying at home. Well, virtual tourism seems like a nice idea in the comfort of your room. What tools would you need for Metaverse? You'd need virtual reality headsets and a good internet connection for starters. Virtual reality headsets will allow us to immerse ourselves in 3D worlds in the form of avatars animated by our movements. But it will require an enormous amount of computing power to allow millions of people to act simultaneously in that virtual space. Even devices that recreate taste, smell, and touch could be invented. What do you think? Are you ready for the Metaverse?
Okay, so this is the moment you've been waiting for. Since the morning, everyone's been asking number batao. So now is the time we start doing that. We'll start with the state of Punjab. What you're about to see on your screens now are the India Today Access My India exit poll numbers for Punjab. Every single of these 117 assembly constituencies was sampled. A total sample size of 28,582. Rajdeep, let's get started.
Okay, let's get started with the state of Punjab, which in many ways has been just as exciting as Uttar Pradesh, quite simply because there's been so much of drama in the state of Punjab. And we are going to add to the drama because these are the first vote share numbers in the My India Axis poll on Punjab. 41% for the Aam Aadmi Party, 28% for the ruling party, Charanjit Singh Channi of the Congress, 19% for the Shiromani Akali Dal BSP combined, 7% for the BJP Amrinder Singh combined, 5% others. But look at the gap, 13% gap for Aam Aadmi Party. Arvind Kejriwal there. Remember, Bhagwan Mann is their chief ministerial candidate, but it's Arvind Kejriwal, their national convener, who's been the driving force there in Punjab. 41 is playing 28-19. Are we seeing history scripted in Punjab? What is the My India Axis poll saying when it comes to the big numbers now of Punjab? Take a look at these numbers. We're now going to give you the big numbers for Punjab in a moment. 28% is the vote share, 117 seats in Punjab. How is it playing out? This is what the Axis My India, 76-90 for the Aam Aadmi Party. If this poll is right, this is history. Landslide as of now of the kinds that we've seen only when Indira Gandhi and others were around in Punjab. Punjab has normally seen competitive elections, Akalis versus the Congress. Congress down to 1931. If this is right, the Channi experiment has not quite worked. 7-11. Shiromani Akali Dal collapsing, the party that ruled Punjab for 10 years, 2007 to 17, and has been the old party of Punjab. The BJP's experiment not working. JP Nadda, as we are showing there, interesting, with Amrinder Singh, and 0-2 for others. So clearly, this is a landslide, is what Pradeep Gupta of Axis is predicting. Now this is huge, because Rahul, this completely changes the map of Punjab in a manner that we haven't seen and makes Arvind Kejriwal potentially a national figure.
And the most interesting thing in the numbers for Punjab is that if you look at the region of Malwa, out of the 69 seats of Malwa, the Access My India exit poll is predicting that the AAP will win 63 out of 69. It is in Maja, the areas near Amritsar where AAP was weak last time, in Maja as well. The AAP has twice the number of seats the Congress is winning. In Doab though, which is the area around Jalandhar and Hoshiarpur and Nawashahar, which is where the AAP is behind the Congress. There, it's 12 to the Congress, 5 to the AAP. But if you look just at Malwa, which is where Bhagwant Mann comes from, which is also where there has been a massive AAP wave even in 2017. There, out of 69, 63 seats, Malwa and to some extent Maja, helping the Aam Aadmi Party cross all this confusion which was there. Sanjay Kumar, in people's mind, will it be hung? Is it tight? Has there been transfer of Dera votes? This exit poll is suggesting Aam Aadmi Party is likely to be in power in Punjab and win in style.
Rahul, I have no doubt that it's not going to be hung, but I don't know whether it is going to be between 76 and 90 seats. But I think it is going to be a clear victory for Aam Aadmi Party. There is no question about hung assembly, no question about whether Aam Aadmi Party is going to be short of majority or not. I think the exit poll data is giving a clear indication of that, and this is the sense we are getting from the ground also.
And you made a significant point, Rahul, about Malwa itself. 69 seats there. Even last time, the Aam Aadmi Party got almost all its 16 seats from there, only 2 from the rest. But this is also the agrarian heartland. Harmeet will tell us more. This is where a number of people who participated in the farmers' agitation were. This is where many of the issues that really trouble Punjab today, whether it is high unemployment, whether it is health facilities, whether it's education, everything really comes together in what was the agrarian heartland of Punjab. Harmeet, you seem stunned by these results.
Of course, I am stunned because...
you don't accept them. You don't think this will happen.
I'll still wait for the actual result, but if these numbers hold true, then definitely Aam Aadmi Party has swept the bellwether region of Malwa. There are, of course, as you mentioned, there are 69 seats there, and it won 18 seats from this region in 2017, so which is a huge jump, which means that it has. And the other aspect here is that the Akalis are nowhere in the picture now. So a regional party is gone if these numbers hold true. And
what it also says is that all these efforts at trying to transfer votes and trying to be too clever by half, by trying to ensure tactical switching on seats for candidates between parties, when there's a wave coming, and this jugaad doesn't work. It's quite simple. Preeti, you traveled, and in some senses a feeling of vindication that what you picked up.
I don't know. Vindication will only happen when the last vote is counted on the 10th. But I'll just give you anecdotally on why I feel, these numbers could be close to the real numbers. Because, I covered the election in 2017, Rahul. And if I was to look, one of the main reasons why I actually thought this was a genuine organic way for the Aam Aadmi Party, this was cross-region. To give you an example, I was in Majha, the border villages. Now, that's a belt where the Panth vote for the Akali comes from, very, very strong, where the Akalis are concerned. I sat village after village where people did not know the candidate's name. But when I asked them who are they going to vote for, they said Jhadu. So, these are indications that there is a wave on when you don't know the name of the candidate. Number two, what I think has worked very well for the Aam Aadmi Party is announcing Bhagwant Mann as the chief ministerial face. He might be a comedian, but I saw him being wildly popular. One final, the point I'll make, Rajdeep, is when you went to the road shows of the Aam Aadmi Party in the evening, where you see the difference from a regular party, why this was organic, people were coming out with their children, people were coming out as families. The whole, the tagline of Badlav, which was their campaign, actually filtered down the common most denominator. They wanted change.
I'll tell you the one big difference, because there is a caveat that people will add, which is why the nervousness that you said, Rahul, a lot of people thought hung, because last time, similarly, exit polls were predicting an AAP victory, Congress won in the end. There's a big difference. One is, of course, Bhagwant Mann, chief ministerial candidate, there was no. But I think what has happened, cross-region, yes. But importantly, you've now had 10 years of Congress spread over the last 20 years, and you've had 10 years of Akalis. In 2017, the Congress could claim that the anti-incumbency, especially after the sacrilege issue, was entirely with the Akalis, and they capitalized on it with a strong Jat Sikh leader in Captain Amrinder Singh, tried and tested. This time, tried, tested, and found to be wanting, both the Akalis and the Congress. So that mood for, but I've always believed, Rahul, controversial, and that's where Malwa comes in. The Aam Aadmi Party, with its kind of politics, will win when there is a strong mood for change. Badlav, khatam kar do sab. All.
No, but you have to make that. You have to make that mahal. See, that mahal doesn't happen on its own. You have to be present on the ground and channelize people's anger and be the agent of change.
Absolutely, but Rahul, if these numbers hold, and that is, when there is a congressman on the show, we should look at that. So, the Congress changed its chief minister 5 months ago, and I've gone through the records. Not since PC Sethi in the 1970s has a chief minister been changed within 6 months of an election. That was peak of Indira Gandhi's popularity. Has a party won an election? You can't change a chief minister 4 months before and believe people will forget 4.5 years. Anti-incumbency.
But BJP is trying that in Uttarakhand.
8 months before. 8 months before, but I'm giving 6 months. Therefore, yes, BJP could do it, but you remember Sushma Swaraj, others. It hasn't always worked. My sense is the Congress accepted that there was anti-incumbency by changing their chief minister, did it much too late. You want to change a chief minister, change him 12 to 18 months. Not enough.
Yes, okay. Also, after the changing the chief minister, what did the Congress do?
Exactly.
The mess it created on the toes of the change, and also the BJP and the Akalis created a huge mess. You see, I think if it is happening the way we are predicting, it means that it is a vote against the moribund old-timers and the entire caucus which ruled Punjab. I think they are voting, as you said, for a different change. And imagine what a moment. I think first time ever a regional player like Arvind Kejriwal will get to rule another state in India.
It's very significant.
It's the first time
in
ever.
The context of
there is no
politics.
Regional party which has come to rule another state.
But it is not a regional party. That is the difference. That is, in my view, the one advantage AAP has over a TMC.
No, that is because that is perceptibly.
No.
because he thinks it's acceptable.
No, which is the, you see, Delhi is not a region. Delhi is the national capital. Arvind Kejriwal has that one advantage. He can genuinely go out to a state and claim I'm a national alternative without carrying the regional party tag. Now, all of this depends, of course, on what happens. But if these results hold, Rahul, think about it. Himachal Pradesh goes to the polls in November, December. Gujarat, which is his next target. The
difference is that here there are very few months left. In Punjab, they were in the reckoning even last time.
No, you're right.
It takes time to build parties.
You're right. All I'm saying is, what does it say? I think the biggest shock, the first big shock of these exit polls is for the Congress party. Rahul Gandhi himself was behind the removal of Amrinder Singh and the appointment of Charanjit Singh Channi in the belief that a Dalit chief minister will change the...
And Rakesh Sinha, is this BJP's worst nightmare?
No, in fact, Bharatiya Janata Party has not been a big player in Punjab. It had alliance with the Akali party. So
no, sure, I'm saying the significance of AAP winning. See, AAP is very different from Congress.
You know what I find that in this election, the AAP has cast the anti-establishment factor, and the voters have bracketed all the national parties in one seat. That is part of establishment, because each and every party ruled the Punjab. And what I find in this survey, that only 25% women have been included. I think that would change. You just see 75% male and 25 women. And the women are very significant player in the elections. They are very silent voters. Their voting trend is different from the
our guests
male
who are
voters.
joining us. Reena Gupta from the Aam Aadmi Party, Ashdeep Singh Khadial of the Congress, and Jangveer Singh of the Shiromani Akali Dal. Reena Gupta, to you first. The India Today exit poll for Access My India suggesting that not just is the Aam Aadmi Party winning, but winning in massive style. This could go up, according to this poll, up to about 90 seats. A vote share increase from 24.9% to 41%. That's a 16% increase in 5 years. No wonder Reena is smiling from ear to ear. Mubaraka.
Thank you, Rahul. This is exactly what we were hoping to achieve, Rahul. We ran a really positive campaign and we focused on real issues. All the other parties, try to derail the campaign, bringing in all sorts of issues. But till the end, we focused our campaign on real issues of school, education, electricity, water. And I'm so happy that the people of Punjab have embraced this positive campaign, and also this vote is for Badlao, Rahul. And I'm really happy that we can take the Kejriwal model of governance from Delhi to other states. Punjab used to be a glorious, prosperous state, and we are looking forward to bringing the glory back to Punjab, Rahul. And I'm very sure that it's going to be a clean sweep like Delhi, and we'll get upwards of 80 seats on the 10th when the counting actually happens and we get the results.
Ashdeep Khadial, from the Congress's perspective, I mean, the Congress, Rajdeep, really knows how to blow things up. First, you had Amrinder Singh, you pushed him out, you brought in Channi, you irritated Navjot Singh Sidhu, and, like it used to be said about the Indian cricket team, once you can snatch defeat from the jaws of victory, I think the Congress has mastered that art. This was an election, you were poised to win, you just went and blew it up.
Assuming the numbers are right.
Of course, all of this is assuming.
I've just got a message from a Congress leader that you will have egg on your face on Thursday. So the first attack on the exit poll has taken place from the Congress party.
We come here to bat with helmets and bulletproof jackets. And yes, we reserve the right to reverse our punditry based on what happens on the 10th. Yes, Mr. Khadial, that's so.
Right. Thank you. So first things first, history is going to repeat itself. What happened in 2017 will happen again. All these exit polls, opinion polls, Aam Aadmi Party's own polls, Aam Aadmi Party has now kind of gotten accustomed to it. These polls would get their hopes so high, and then the result day would come, and they have become accustomed to getting a shock on that day. The last time also, the C voter survey, the Chanakya survey, the MRC survey, all these surveys said that Aam Aadmi Party would be forming government. They would score around 55 seats and happened what? 20 seats. India Today's Axis survey said that they would score 42 to 51 seats. What happened? Just 20 seats.
Forget
and out of those 20
MLAs, our post-poll study showed up losing and Congress winning. One second, Ashdeep, you can't quote selectively. Our post-poll survey for Punjab was bang on. So at least when you're dissing polls, be fair and factual.
No, they're not. There was 42 to 51 for Aam Aadmi Party is what the Axis survey showed. the 2017 elections, you might as well verify that. But let me tell you one thing, that you cannot hand over the key of your car to an inebriated person. How can you hand over the key of Punjab? Second of all, the change that Aam Aadmi Party was proposing in Punjab, everybody saw through that change. Their very own founder had exposed Aam Aadmi Party and told what the mansoobas and intentions of Kejriwal Saab was, that he wanted to divide
you make
Punjab
an important point, Mr. Khadial, which is about whether Bhagwant Mann still has a drinking problem. But the interesting thing there is that when I ask people in Punjab, what about Bhagwant Mann's drinking problem? They have this wry, sheepish kind of smile on their face, Rajdeep, when they say, what's the big deal? All of us drink.
Absolutely.
So it's the one unique state where a chief ministerial candidate having a past issue with alcohol isn't a big deal. I mean, voters cannot dismiss it.
Let's look at that, Rahul. Let's look at chief ministerial candidates, because that's one of the questions that the Axis My India poll has asked. Chief ministerial candidates, since so much was made about this first Dalit chief minister, take a look at what it says. Okay, the chief ministerial candidates of Punjab. Take a look at what it says. Remember, Bhagwant Mann is the choice of the Aam Aadmi Party. 37% said Bhagwant Mann is our preferred candidate. Direct question asked, who do you want as CM? Just below where the Aam Aadmi Party, 41% is their vote share. Charanjit Singh Channi does reasonably well, better than actually 27% is what he's getting, marginally higher than the Congress's vote share in this election, particularly in Doaba among the Dalit belt. Strong support from him. Sukhbir Singh Badal, really the chief minister for the first time as the candidate of his party. Remember, it's always been Prakash Singh Badal, his father, 19%. So therefore, to answer your question, Bhagwant Mann gets, is almost like his party. If you're choosing up, you have no problems with Bhagwant Mann as well, which is, Harmeet, again, possibly, as Rahul says, a bit of a surprise to those who perhaps are outside Punjab. But when I traveled in Punjab and Rahul spent a lot of time with him, he was a bit of a folk hero. He is offering that alternative. Enough of these, the Maharajas and the Badals. Let's get a complete alternative.
And he's claiming that he's changed. He says, I don't touch alcohol. I'm up early in the morning, 8 o'clock, 10 o'clock, I'm doing my first sabha. What are you talking about? That's all in the past.
He is a folk hero. There's no doubt about it. But the thing is, if you see Arvind Kejriwal, he took his own time in declaring his name. Why? Because he was trying to have some sort of an alliance with the farmers, which didn't materialize. He knew that perhaps the farming community won't vote for him. And that's why, he was dilly-dallying on that. That let's have some time and let's see if we can stitch an alliance with the farmers. It didn't materialize. At the end of the day, what happened was that, okay, let's place our bets on Bhagwant Mann. Let's capitalize on his celebrity status, which is what he did. And who knows, it worked beyond Malwa, or it worked really good in Malwa region itself.
And he's bitingly funny. If you listen to one of his speeches, he has people eating out of his hand with his humor, with his delivery. Priyanka Gandhi, just the day before we caught up with him, attacked Bhagwant Mann, attacked the Aam Aadmi Party, saying, "Ye Delhi se chalegi party. AAP is run from the capital." Bhagwant Mann says, "Where's Priyanka Gandhi from? Ye moge to hai." So he's basically, ensuring that everybody has a laugh and they're voting for him. I want to ask Rahul Verma that one question which will be asked again and again on if AAP wins, whether AAP can now position itself in a 10-15 year horizon as a big national threat to the BJP. That's what AAP will hope for. The Congress will say it doesn't work like that. What do you think?
I think in the short run, BJP would be happy with the AAP's rise. Because what it does in the short run, it basically...
I'm not sure. Why do you say that?
In the short run, that's why I'm saying the short run, what it does, it basically creates competition for the second spot. So Congress losing a state like Punjab, TMC also trying to come up, there are 3 contenders for the second spot. So in the short run, it helps. But in the medium to long run, if AAP manages to win, say, another state, manages to basically go with this Delhi model.
Can I counter what you're saying to tell you, based on my interactions with top BJP leaders, that they'd much rather play a Congress than play an Aam Aadmi Party? Congress is easy to punch. Aam Aadmi Party gets under their skin. They don't like that. They'd much rather have AAP lose and Congress win in Punjab, because Congress winning suits them. It's easy to attack Congress. It's much tougher to attack the AAP.
No, I'm not denying that in couple of years, if AAP basically wins Punjab and wins perhaps another state, because they have something to talk about as Delhi model of governance, like Prime Minister Modi had Gujarat model of governance. In the medium to long term, AAP is going to be much dangerous for the BJP. But in the run-up to 2024, basically it divides the position.
Rakesh Sinha wants to divide. Can I just point out, Rakesh ji, when you speak, AAP, when we travelled in Punjab, everyone was talking about a Delhi model of governance. And as somebody who's in Delhi, I would wonder, but what is the Delhi model of governance? Because while, of course, you got free bijli and pani, but infrastructure, there are very serious issues. But he somehow was able to market his achievements. And therefore, people, they're saying, Delhi model of governance. And they like that. They want that.
You know, in the midst of the failures of the Congress party, the Aam Aadmi party could project its governance, model of governance. But what I find that in long run, what others say that long run it will be a challenge to the BJP, but I find that Arvind Kejriwal leadership, I'm sorry to say, it is unevolved leadership.
Who scares you more, AAP or Congress? No, direct answer. Who is it that you fear more?
Both has the same DNA. They both are dynasts. Both are the
How is Arvind Kejriwal a dynast?
Individualism is
how is he a dynast?
Individualism is just like a dynasty. Dynasty.
No, then even Narendra Modi will be a dynast.
We know.
How is Arvind Kejriwal
No, I'm just.
I'm
telling you.
No, Rakesh Sinha, you are saying Arvind Kejriwal is a dynast.
Yes, you just find that he does not tolerate anybody. Dynast does not mean that there's.
He's an authoritarian leader.
And
Mr. Modi?
He is not authoritarian. He is the most democratic leader. I see. Narendra Modi is one prime minister. Narendra Modi is one prime minister who, among the workers, become the worker. You can't find in Indian democracy, in modern democracy, some prime minister is elitist character. So one just a small point. You know, Arvind Kejriwal leadership is unevolved leadership. He could not change his style. So I think there would be a personality clash between the Chief Minister of Punjab and Arvind Kejriwal. It would be very difficult for Arvind Kejriwal.
No, but can I say, Bhagwant Mann is very happy taking orders from Kejriwal and people around him. During this campaign, Bhagwant Mann did exactly what he was asked to do in the manner that he was asked to do. Now, whether it stays like that after the campaign or things change, because after all, he's Chief Minister of a much bigger state than Kejriwal is.
Sure, but I think this question should be answered. Rahul Srivastav, this point is being made again and again. Who is it? I think very good point made by Rahul Verma. In the short run, Arvind Kejriwal's rise may suit the BJP because he divides the opposition vote. Let's say in a Gujarat, if he does well, carrying the momentum with these results in Punjab hold. But in the long run, is he the challenger that perhaps the Congress cannot be at the moment to the BJP? What is your sense?
See, Rajdeep, the BJP dislikes taking on regional players. BJP's track record on taking on regional players, look at Mamata Banerjee, look at Naveen Patnaik. For a very long time in UP, BSP and Samajwadi Party, RJD in Bihar, still, it's piggy riding virtually. It might have done better than Nitish Kumar, but Nitish Kumar is a face. I think Mr. Sinha should look at the data if it's good. Worrying for the BJP, Aam Aadmi Party is getting more Hindu upper caste votes in Punjab than the BJP. It's getting more Hindu OBCs than the BJP. It means there is something happening.
Nobody wants to waste a vote also.
Yeah, but still, Rahul, that's what happened in UP. That's exactly when Narendra Modi arrived there. He galvanized with his Gujarat model and several other elements a vote base which was dithering.
That's interesting because Sheila Bhatt, you've tracked Modi, you've in a way looked at the BJP closely. Is your sense, Sheila, that the BJP today would fear a rising up if these results hold? Winning in Punjab, then perhaps going to Himachal, going to Gujarat, more than they would a Congress, which for whom this would be a huge setback. The one North Indian state that the Congress has dominated in the last 7 years, if they lose that, it means that Rahul Gandhi's gamble of replacing the Chief Minister has not worked if these results hold. Who do you think the BJP fears most? An rising up or a strong or a Congress brand?
Obviously, I think, first of all, Radip, let us as a journalist, as we are observing so much from the ground, this is a very big news if AAP wins. We must not by different way sabotage AAP's big win. It's a very offbeat, it's very...
A disruptor, a complete disruptor.
It's a trend-setting event which we are talking about. Let us say that very clearly. This is a great anti-vote of people,
could they take this to
Punjab
Gujarat?
against the all famous, all established, all rich and fat
No, but
people.
Sheila, since you're from Gujarat,
this is a very big.
Could they take this to Gujarat? Could they take the same anti-establishment, anti-BJP, anti-Congress mood to Gujarat?
See, the beauty of India is that all grounds are different. But I tell you, but you asked me about whether BJP fears. I would say that in keeping in mind 2024, BJP would have liked Congress to win, because once Congress is winning, then in a non-BJP bigger grand opposition table, Congress can be one of the players, and BJP is so comfortable, and so it has a institutional ways and strategies to take on Congress.
Congress is a bit like Zimbabwe from BJP's perspective.
I don't.
They'd much rather play Zimbabwe than have to duel with somebody they have to fight with.
No, Rahul, it's an intriguing question, because the way I see it, the Congress is still the more pan-Indian brand. Let's be
clear. But they don't know what to do with the brand.
So therefore, for example, in a Karnataka, which goes to the polls next year, in the 3 other North Indian states, I'm just saying, as a brand, you cannot deny the Congress its space.
But they have a driver who doesn't know how to ride a Mercedes. Your engine is a Mercedes, you don't know how to drive a Mercedes.
But where an Arvind Kejriwal, he doesn't carry the baggage. You see, so for the BJP, it becomes more difficult to attack an Arvind Kejriwal than it becomes to attack a Congress. the immediately...
BJP,
How will they attack Arvind Kejriwal?
Can't you see how they managed with Amit Shah and a Kejriwal meeting again and again in COVID times? What did they do? He went there to his Krishna Menon Marg, and they had a meeting and they called press. No, I don't think that is true. But I am saying in a big picture, see, we all discuss 2024, and with respect to that, I think this Arvind Kejriwal is a very different strand of Indian politics. Is that this big, green revolution, there is a final burning.
No, that's true, but
Pradeep Gupta joins us now. Pradeep Gupta has a new suit.
New Punjab.
He's also now part of a Harvard Business School case study. And in many ways, his organizational and individual reputation depends on getting all these exit polls right. So no pressure, Pradeep, but welcome. Tell us, you've predicted, unlike conventional wisdom, an AAP sweep in Punjab. What's your confidence interval at this time?
I'm pretty much confident, and reason is very simple. We go to each and every assembly consistency, meet people, and we do representative sampling, and whatever data we collect based on our analysis, this is what is coming forward.
No, but Pradeep, there will be those, and already they are saying that Pradeep, I don't know whether you predicted it, but most pollsters predicted a similar sweep for AAP even in 2017. They predicted at least 70 plus. That time, they all got it wrong. Are you much more confident this time than in 2017?
No, in 2017 we were bang on. We predicted Congress victory.
I said most pollsters.
That's what I'm
because Mr. Khadial is here from the Congress. He says you got Punjab wrong in 2017.
Not at all. We predicted 71 seats for the Congress, and they secured 77 seats. Not at all.
Charanjit Singh Channi is speaking at this time. Let's listen to the Punjab CM.
197 स्टूडेंट वहाँ थे, जिसमें से 420 वापस आ चुके हैं और बाकी 200 पोलैंड में चले गए हैं, वो सेफ हैं, लेकिन अभी कुछ लोग वहीं फंसे हुए हैं। उनके लिए मैंने निवेदन किया है और उन्होंने मुझे विश्वास दिया है कि हम
Indian students in Ukraine and efforts to get them back. He obviously doesn't want to talk about this exit poll just at this moment, and fair enough, you should wait till the 10th to be able to do this. The interesting thing I find from your numbers is Malwa is where AAP was strong last time. They've really consolidated and gained. And in Majha, where they were very weak last time, they have done well. So AAP has spread its presence across the state this time.
No, not at all. In fact, AAP is trailing behind way, in a big way. In fact, as per our poll, AAP is likely to get only 5 seats in Doaba region, and Congress is likely to win 12 seats. 5 versus 12, and vote percentage, there is a 10% difference between AAP and Congress party. Congress is likely to get 37% as against 27% by AAP. So that's the big difference.
No, but the point I'm making is both in Majha and in Malwa. Earlier, AAP was just a Malwa phenomena,
right.
Which is where Bhagwan Maan comes from. But now they've spread to Amritsar, the north part of the state in Majha. It's only in Doab, in that area around Jalandhar, Hoshiarpur, where they are weak. Why didn't the AAP wave carry forward to the Doab region?
2-3 region is very simple, and Doab is supposed to be very prosperous region, being a Jalandhar which is holding a big number, large number of seats out of 23 seats in Doaba, and Aam Aadmi Party doesn't have any base whatsoever even during 2014 general election. That time they secured 4 seats, 4 Lok Sabha seats, all 4 were in Malwa.
You know, in fact, one of the more interesting things that's coming out from Pradeep's survey, and Harmeet, you want to come into this because you said, you know, when Channi was appointed first Dalit chief minister, there was a feeling that a state with a 32% Dalit population, this could be a game changer. As per Pradeep's poll, AAP is getting 38% of the Dalit vote, Congress is getting 35%, Shiromani Akali Dal 20%. So even among Dalits, there seems to be this mood for change. My point is, once there's a mood for change, it doesn't matter whether you're a Dalit, whether you're a Jat Sikh, the only Hindu SCs, very interesting, except for Hindu SC, Hindu Dalits are the only group where the Congress is scoring over AAP. In every other group, AAP seems to be scoring over Congress. Are you surprised, or do you believe that could be something that is the X factor come Thursday?
No, I am surprised definitely here. For example, if you say that there is a 32% Dalit vote bloc, I have seen Charanjit Singh Channi projecting himself not as a Dalit leader, but in fact as a leader who represents all the poor sections of society. He will never identify himself with the Dalit population because he perhaps knew that, yes, there is some sort of competition from Aam Aadmi Party, so I should rather focus on class rather than on caste. But this thing that, the Hindu Dalits are supporting Aam Aadmi Party more, the Congress more, and the Sikh Dalits are in fact, on the other side. This is quite surprising because Channi at the end of the day is himself a Ramdasiya Sikh. And
so what could change between, in this survey, you've been saying, it's a very unusual survey in a way, because Malwa domination, Doaba, the same party doesn't get the same change vote, but Majha is where they've made the new gains, in the Panthik heartland. I want to understand, is there anything that you think could make this survey go wrong?
Ask Pradeep that.
Pradeep, you want to tell us?
I don't think, because it's very simple. It's very simple. You have a brand in Arvind Kejriwal, but it doesn't translate. There is no outlets to sell the brand in Doab region. That's the very simple answer to this.
So what are the outlets in Majha?
Majha, they have, after this Vijay Kumar Pratap Singh, and there are so many leaders. Vijay Pratap Singh joined from services, and there are so many leaders who has joined in Majha region. But in Jalandhar, which is the urban, there is a difference in urban and rural also when it comes to Punjab. Punjab is the most urbanized state across the country. That is another thing. And in Malwa, hardly any city, when it comes to Jalandhar, Ludhiana, Amritsar, they all fall in Majha.
What I was shocked by this time, Rahul, and you also traveled in Punjab, I was in this park in Ludhiana, early morning having lassi. Most of the people were industrialists. Most of them heartland Punjabi, all come through, many of them come children of partition, their parents had come from Pakistan. Traditionally, this was a BJP vote, the urban Punjabi Hindu vote. And I asked them, and they also said, nahi, bahut ho gaya. 10 साल कांग्रेस को दे दिए, 10 साल अकाली को दे दिए, कुछ नहीं हुआ है, let's make change. You see, once that mood for change sets in, like we saw in Delhi in 2014-15, then it doesn't matter. And then when they called Kejriwal a terrorist, I rang up some of them. They said, ye kya, is tarah ki bhasha you. In fact, I thought they got angry by it. They said, this is enough. They drew a red line. कि बहुत हो गया ये किसी को टेररिस्ट कहना, and that too, last 2-3 days you get Kumar Vishwas. Where was he last 2-3 years? सब public है, ये सब जानती है, बॉस अंदर है क्या बाहर क्या.
This desire for change is captured very clearly in this exit poll by Access My India, because on that question of the reason for why you voted for a particular party in this assembly election, 47% of the respondents said they voted for change, badlav hona chahiye. All the other reasons about MLA, CM candidate, unemployment, the Prime Minister, caste, inflation is much lesser. The only searing point over there is people are fed up with the Akalis in the Congress, they want change.
And can I just add to that very quickly before you go to Pradeep? Just look at, Rahul, the way all the parties have played Punjab. Congress changes its chief minister, which is an effective admission that your government was not working effectively. Appoint someone as the party president who every day is attacking his own chief minister. So Sidhu versus Channi. You've got the BJP, which wants to fish in troubled waters and takes Amrinder on its side, the same person who has been removed because of the alleged anti-incumbency against him, because they want a foothold now that the Akalis have let them. And the Akalis have, they are the ones who could have perhaps tried to sort of make a real comeback, and they remain the X factor in a way. But they too are not able to offer a new narrative of change. You see, unless you capture the mood for change, which the Punjabi today, Sikh or Hindu feels, why should I vote for you? So Kejriwal's newness or Bhagwant Man's newness or novelty factor has become his strength.
Pradeep Gupta, the demand for change.
Yes. Quite
you
evident.
agree with that?
100% quite evident. And जब बोलते हैं कि change आता है, परिवर्तन आता है, तो सबको उड़ा देता है. It cut across all the lines, demography or geography.
I would describe this contextual change as a national party holiday in Punjab.
National
party holiday in the Punjab. They have been sent back and regional party got the, but I don't think that in long run.
इतना easy नहीं है. It's not holiday. थप्पड़ मिलेगा अगर ये सही है तो.
थप्पड़ नहीं मिलेगा in the long run.
Holiday नहीं है.
देखिए sir, Rakesh ji, you tie up with Amrinder Singh. Clearly, as per our poll, that has not worked out. No, let's be honest. Your party also joined in and said Kejriwal is involved with Khalistani terrorists. Your party failed on the farmer agitation. Punjab is the one state where even Mr. Modi at the peak 2014, 2017, 17, 19 has not worked. Kuch to hai ki Punjabi Sikh does not seem to want to be with the BJP.
Khalistan should not be the term of discourse. Even this term should be discarded in the.
Arey sir, aap logon ne hi usko discourse mein laya.
What I say, the way Kejriwal tried to support and legitimize certain radical elements, that was the main target. We are a national player, so we can contest and we can contest each other.
But it clearly didn't work. If this is the exit poll, then that didn't work.
In Punjab, the election was for change, and Akali Party's government and the Congress Party government. So both have been bracketed in the one criteria that they are part of the establishment.
Rahul Verma, the other interesting thing is, in a state typically, if the Congress loses to a third front, if they lose to the BJP, sometimes they get it back. But most often in states like Tamil Nadu, in states like West Bengal, in states like UP, once they lose to a third player, it's very difficult for the Congress to come back.
True. Congress historically, basically when it goes below 20% point, it never recovers. Except Haryana, if it goes like that was the only occasion where they came up as a second position, but it never recovered. More than that, what you were discussing about Punjab, what happened in Punjab in last 6 to 8 months, AAP was setting the agenda of contest, of the discourse. AAP basically first announced that we are going to have a deputy chief minister who will be Dalit. And then Shiromani Akali Dal got BSP on its side, and Congress party was in some ways forced to make a Dalit chief minister. So not just on the Dalit question, but on many other questions, AAP was deciding
and everyone was attacking the AAP, whether it's the Prime Minister, whether it's the Akalis, whether it's the Congress. AAP was the focal point of all attacks. Mr. Khadial is here, and I want to just correct him in Pradeep's presence that we did not call Punjab wrong. 71 seats is what the exit poll in 2017 gave the Congress party, so you are factually wrong, but that's fine. You can wait till the 10th to see what happens this year. But what you said about 2017 was wrong. Yes.
I just said 42 to 51 seats is what India Today's Access survey said for Aam Aadmi Party. I did not say for Congress you were wrong. I said your prediction vis-a-vis Aam Aadmi Party was wrong.
No, but how is that possible? If 71 is what you gave the Congress, then 41, then you're 120 already. No,
he's not wrong there. We did give AAP more than they eventually got, Pradeep.
That's right.
We did give them more, but not like what you're doing this time. This time you're giving a landslide.
Definitely not. And he's right. We have given away 30 seats and they secured 20 seats.
No, but not 50. He's saying 50.
No, not at all. Not at all. 30 to 40 seats. 30 was the lower range, and Congress party 71 was the upper range. For the interest of all, let me clear very simply. Axis My India got wrong only 4 occasions and got absolutely right in 48 occasions out of total 52 elections we have called since 2013. So it is easier to remember where we went wrong, which is Tamil Nadu 16 election, Karnataka election 18, Bihar 20 and West Bengal recently 21.
Don't worry about where we went wrong. Hopefully we'll be right, and that's what matters. I hope you've been to Kashi Vishwanath and Golden Temple and wherever else you need to go, Pradeep.
No, I don't need to go anywhere. My team works very hard. And in fact, they spend most of the time throughout the year, 1 year before the election in the field. So I am pretty confident.
So we'll say all of this on the 10th. Right now we've got our fingers crossed.
What happened, and this will be interesting that maybe Harmeet and Rahul want to respond. Because everyone who went in the field saw Badlav.
Except the Punjab journalists.
Yes.
The Punjab journalists who are sitting there, they can't see the change.
And a senior bureaucrat has said that you all have not underestimated the power in the last 3 days of the cadres of the Akalis, the Deep Sidhu death and the impact that it had, and a belief that this campaign, of Khalistani and all has worked on the ground. My answer to him has been elections don't get decided in the last 48 hours when there is a mood for change. Rahul Srivastava, do you agree broadly with that? That once voter has decided in India कि बदलाव करना है, फिर ये जो भी होता है doesn't dramatically change the result.
Absolutely, Azi. I think people of Punjab built up an opposition to the present set of leadership, and that's how they created a mind for change. It was not overnight that they suddenly picked up. See, Rajdeep, on a lot of things which we look at, I think even when we were discussing this entire Khalistani element, I think it had an impact. The BJP actually did it, I think, largely to help the Aam Aadmi Party. The Aam Aadmi Party lacked that strident face among those strident face forces in Punjab. That sympathy factor wasn't there. I think it actually helped Aam Aadmi Party. Second, Mr. Sinha raised a point that Charan Maan will be run by Delhi. Mr. Sinha, there is increasingly a tendency. One, by bringing Mr. Maan, he ensured that there is no non-Sikh element in Punjab who will lead Punjab for the Aam Aadmi Party. Second, I think this country is now used to what I call Alexa chief ministers, that somebody controlling them from Delhi. I think this idea that somebody will not vote for a person Rahul, just because he'll be controlled for Delhi are over.
Is post facto panditry. It's a bit like cricket. If a decision you take to drop somebody or to bring somebody in works, then the captain is heralded as a genius and it's called a master stroke. If that same idea doesn't work, then everyone guns for him. The fact is that very often a lot of this is already decided in the build-up, and these last-minute tweaks and changes that you do can only impact on the margins. They can't change the fundamental course of the election. What we'll do now
just one caveat, of course. Yes. A few of the other polls that that we are getting at the moment are saying hung. So it is an interesting thing. Pradeep is the outlier.
But I know even if it is single largest, it's something credible.
No, of course it is. But there's a huge difference between being single largest and being... Dr. Sandeep Shastri says he's been patiently waiting for us since 6 p.m. in Bengaluru. Dr. Shastri, sorry that these are the disadvantage of the gap between Delhi and Bengaluru, but you want to respond to that different polls at the moment, some are giving hung in Punjab. Pradeep's gone on a limb, given it to Aam. Are you surprised with the scale of what Pradeep is saying, or do you believe that when there is a mood for change, it should extend from Patiala all the way to Pathankot?
I think, Rajdeep, given the trends that we are talking, the disaffection with the Congress, the unhappiness with the Akali Dal, the inability of the BJP to get its act together, I think it's very clear that there is a mood for change. And in any state, when there is a move for change, it generally leads to a landslide for that party. So I think those polls which are saying single largest party are doing a little bit of fence sitting, keeping in mind that a lot of people got the poll wrong last time, so they're just playing it safe. But I would believe that if there is this serious mood for change which Pradeep ji is talking about, you could well expect the type of result we are seeing in the exit poll.
So we want to move now from Punjab to Uttarakhand. Uttarakhand is the next state that we'll go to. I'll take you through the party-wise vote share numbers, and then we'll take you through the seat share numbers. Remember, in 2017, the BJP had 47% of the vote share. In 2019, in the general elections in the state of Uttarakhand, the BJP had 61% of the vote share. Access My India projects for India Today that in the state of Uttarakhand, the BJP this time will have 44% of the vote share, down 3% from the 2017 assembly elections, but still 4% more than the Congress, which is projected to get about 40% of the vote share. In a bipolar election, a 4% vote share is usually substantial, but the interesting thing is you've also got AAP and you've got the BSP. AAP only 3% of the vote share according to this exit poll, and BSP 6% of the vote share. Let's now see how this translates into seats. When it comes to the question of whether this will be a hung house or whether the BJP will win clean and clear, Axis My India is projecting for India Today that in Uttarakhand, the BJP will be just above the majority mark. The majority mark is 35. Pradeep Gupta saying thoda sa zyada, 36 to 46 for the BJP, 20 to 30 for the Harish Rawat-led Congress, the BSP at 0 to 2, and the Aam Aadmi Party hasn't done well in Uttarakhand. They tried to get an ex-Fauji man as their chief ministerial candidate. That doesn't seem to have done very well for them. In 2017, the BJP had 56 seats, so that's coming down to between 36 and 46. The Congress had only 11, that's going up to 20 to 30, but not enough to change which party wins Uttarakhand. So you basically just said majority se thoda zyada. That's essentially what you're saying, Pradeep Gupta?
Yes, definitely. The big difference between Congress and BJP is turning out to be the women voters. The difference among the male voter between Congress and BJP is only 1%. But the difference between Congress and BJP among women voter is 8%. Too big a margin, and the reason is very simple. The social delivery of social welfare schemes of central government, Modi government. That's the only thing. When we ask the region, in fact, you will surprise here, we simply ask if you are voting to this party, the why. The why factor for the BJP is turning out to be Modi ke karan 31%, which is the highest, and the next best is development of the state. This is the second reason. See, the difference between first and second is 10 percentage point among the BJP voter. That is what did all the tricks.
No, that's interesting, because you're essentially saying
Rahul,
that it's only because of Prime Minister Modi that they're winning, or largely because of Prime Minister Modi that they're winning in Uttarakhand.
This is huge, because when you think about it, I don't think I've seen in a long time, and we are in a state election where the gap between for the men voters is virtually identical. But for women voters goes to 8%. Yes, Mamata Banerjee was there, but Mamata Banerjee even led among men. Here you've got a 1% gap between BJP and Congress as per the exit poll among men. It goes to 8% among women.
BJP in the third phase in Bihar, 11%.
But you see, you'll have it in individual phases. Now you've got an 8%. In a small state like Uttarakhand, once you get that kind of, that's the game changer.
Yeah.
And Pradeep is right. And I've seen this on the road. Welfare schemes, Ujjwala, whether it is Saubhagya scheme, whether it is schemes for school uniforms for children, whether it is providing cash through Jan Dhan Yojana, this whole Labharti concept, the woman is appreciating it much more, particularly when it comes with law and order also, much more than the male voter. The male voter is looking, I found, much more at Berozgari, much more strongly at what COVID has done, and the fact that they don't seem to have a future, economic distress. The woman is looking at these schemes, and if this holds, this is a template, Rahul, which needs to be examined more closely. The woman voter, we keep talking about Dalits, we talk about Brahmins, we talk about Muslim vote bank. There is, for God's sake, a woman vote bank. Nitish Kumar realized it. Jayalalitha was the first to realize it years ago. Mamata Banerjee has realized it. Narendra Modi has realized it. And Naveen Patnaik has realized it. Others need to wake up and smell the coffee. Women are a key vote bank. Rahul, you agree?
No, here
Rahul Verma, and then I'll come to you, Rakesh.
It's happening for now 5-7 years. What we are seeing.
What has changed? Why is it happening?
Many things, and we don't have good evidence to basically pinpoint one. In last 5-7 years, women turnout has been increasing in many states where women are outnumbering men voters. That's the first thing which is happening. And second, what we are seeing that in certain states, women are voting for one particular party in comparison to others. So West Bengal, Uttarakhand in the last election as well, Tamil Nadu when Jayalalitha was chief minister, Nitish Kumar was getting this vote. Even LDF in Kerala got advantage among women voters. So I think a mix of perhaps you could call as beneficiaries, Labharti factor, and perhaps because of law and order situation, or there is a women leadership at the top of party hierarchy. many of these things must be driving
the BJP doesn't have a woman leader at the top. I can understand Mamta. I can understand Jayalalitha.
I'm not
Let's ask Sheila that. Sheila, why? Why are women voters voting more for BJP than men?
First of all, Modi did it in 2002 to 2007, if you remember.
In Gujarat.
Totally concentration on Gujarat. They really work for this particular constituency. One. Second thing is that it looks a little non-academic, but the fact is even women's mobile has a WhatsApp. So women are have incoming info. What goes to man is going to woman also. Whether he reads, she reads, gets time to read is different. Very different, very.
No, what is the attraction? So I'm asking, let me press you. What is the attraction that a woman voter has? I'm seeing this now in more and more elections. Yes, Mamta Banerjee benefited from it. Nitish Kumar with his schemes benefited. Is it Ujjwala? Is it the fact, dare I say, that Mr. Modi, Yogi Adityanath, other leaders who may be single, are seen as people whom the women are able to कि हमने परिवार को हटाकर हमने पूरी जिंदगी आपके लिए न्योछावर की है.
Radip, since last 2-3 years we are saying there is a new class called Labharti. वो Labharti तो feminine है. Labharti कौन है? वो तो women है.
Right.
So they are voters because first they started with
no, but Labhartis are men and women. Why are the women voting more?
When you address the last mile development, when you
yes,
Chula, it's not the man who cooks.
Last mile development is all about women.
If you give free food grain for 2 years, if free food grain for 2 years, it comes to the woman. But there is a catch, Rajdip. I think also there is a problem that I've seen in UP, for example, is that Ujjwala cylinder did very well till last election, but for the last 2 years or 1 year, that 1,000 rupee ka cylinder, because of that they have not been able to buy the cylinder. It has become an eyesore. So there is a bit of negative, but Labharti is a big element. I think women is a beneficiary, and I think you should give it, Rajdip, the focus, concentration. Say in Chhattisgarh, among the tribals, it's a matrilineal society where Raman Singh created all cards, be it health and others, as in the name of the women in the family, not the men.
Okay.
I think socially change has been happening.
Yes, Pradeep wants to respond, then Rakesh. Yes, Pradeep. What the woman voter
I'll tell you why. I'll tell you. It's all about women's financial independence. Over the years, they were largely depend on their male member. What had changed since last 20 years is first is the technology, so is the communication, so is the education level. So they want to be seen as independence, their financial independence, and these leaders, the top leaders, have realized this and they started feeding them.
And
so for them,
who the preferred choice for Chief Minister is. So we've got that on our screen, and remember, this post-poll study shows that Pushkar Singh Dhami is fighting a tough fight himself. So on the seat, and Pradeep is smiling, can give us some details, but according to this post-poll study, Pushkar Singh Dhami is the first choice for Chief Minister for 34% of the voters of Uttarakhand. Any candidate from the BJP is 10%. Harish Rawat is at 31%. So 31 versus 34, not much to choose between Dhami and Harish Rawat. Pritam Singh is at 2. Any Congress candidate is 6%. Colonel Ajay Kothiyal from the Aam Aadmi Party, very distinguished army officer, but hasn't made much of an impact on the ground in Uttarakhand. Only 2%. Any AAP candidate 1, any BSP candidate 6. But 34 versus 31, not much to choose. It's essentially, Pradeep Gupta, Prime Minister Modi who is carrying the BJP to victory in Uttarakhand, because 31% of the respondents, the maximum number, when they were asked why you voted for who you did, they're saying they voted for the BJP because of Prime Minister Modi.
So Rahul, what's your question?
My question is, it's the Prime Minister who, like Sachin Tendulkar in Sharjah, seems to be carrying the BJP to victory in the hill state.
Yeah, and the reason is very simple here, is BJP has changed 3 chief ministers. So there is no face in people's mind, and there is only one face, which is Modi, which is the case. But when coming to the chief minister thing, and you said, my poll is suggesting Pushkar Singh Dhami is having tough fight in his own constituency. Let me also tell you, Harish Rawat ji is also, if my poll is correct, Harish Rawat ji is also struggling to win his seat from Lal Kuan. Let me tell you.
And let me give you why. Look at the bizarreness of the Congress party strategy. Harish Rawat, who was their most popular face in Uttarakhand, Rahul, spent most of the last year in Punjab as the General Secretary of the Congress in Punjab. If these numbers are right, and we don't know, this will be the first time since Uttarakhand was formed in 2001 that a government will have beaten anti-incumbency. You've had 2 Congress governments and 2 BJP governments. So actually this was the Congress's turn, much like it is in Rajasthan. But even in Uttarakhand, if these numbers hold, serious questions again for the Indian National Congress. I mean, one thing is to lose Punjab, where you have won in 2014 Lok Sabha, 2019 Lok Sabha and 2017 Assembly. You remove your Chief Minister. The BJP removes its Chief Minister, removes 3 Chief Ministers in a year and still seems likely to win. Now, I also think there's an element of last mile connectivity. The BJP's organization in Uttarakhand way superior to the Congress in the hill state when it comes to reaching out to people, to cadres, to booths. The Congress...
No, it's also your inability to win. It's just basic. If the man who's supposed to lead you in Uttarakhand is busy in another state trying to douse the fire over there, if he doesn't know he's in charge, if he's being undercut, and he's the only man who can take you to victory and you don't give him respect till it's very late in the campaign. Remember, 7% vote share increase is something that the Congress is seeing from 33 to 40%. The BJP's vote share is actually coming down. So directionally, the BJP was on the way down, the Congress was on the way up, but just not enough juice in the engine to take it across the firing line. GVL Narasimha Rao joins us from the BJP, and GVL, it's interesting that 31% of the respondents are saying they voted for the BJP because of Prime Minister Modi. So it essentially means that the MLAs, the CM candidate is only 3%. It's only the Prime Minister who seems to be taking you to power in the hill state.
Rahul, good evening to you and all the panelists. And it was also the Prime Minister who brought the BJP to power in both Uttarakhand and Uttar Pradesh in 2017. The massive victories in 2017 were also a result of Prime Minister Modi factor. And that is playing all over once again. In Uttarakhand, obviously, we have its Prime Minister's image, which is certainly taking us forward because we have changed Chief Ministers. That was, despite that, the Congress party does not have any leadership, does not have issues, and people are trusting Prime Minister because they have seen him deliver on development, not only at the national level, but also in the states where BJP is in power. And certainly that's helping the BJP. One thing you must look at, I think we'll need to discuss this in more detail on the 10th. I would like you and Rajdeep to consider this. In 2017, despite many of you in the media saying Notbandi is really pulling the BJP down, people are going to sweep the BJP out of office in different states. But it was demonetization and the development of Prime Minister Modi which pushed us to power. And now, mind you, it is the last 2 years Prime Minister's leadership in battling a crisis called COVID. I think, and the manner in which he has really ensured that most citizens of the country have COVID vaccinations. He protected an entire generation. I think this certainly means a lot to the women of this country. You and I may not really think much about it. The safety, the health, these are big things. They play on the top of people's minds and women's minds.
Hold your thought. Just one caveat. At least one poll, C voter is suggesting that the Congress will be ahead of the BJP in a hung assembly, 35 plays 29, very close. So Uttarakhand, small margins. We must be very careful about that. That's why. And I think that's what he is. But I have a fascinating thing that one of India's top sociologists has said. I'm listening to you all. And he says the reason why women vote for Modi, listen very carefully, and his social schemes is because Mr. Modi is interested primarily in conducting a status war while others are considering of class war. Status war is about gas, toilet, ration, safety, bank accounts. Class war is about jobs and inflation. BJP via Modi has broken free from class war pretenses and embraced status war heartily. Status war has made a huge impact on the Indian woman.
But can I
very interesting,
point
fascinating.
Out, which is,
whatever you call it, but there are, there are male
Rahul, just give me the 30
yes,
seconds.
30 seconds. Chalo.
You know what happens that till now we discussed that program-based Modi is getting support from the women. In fact, he expanded the democracy. This time, women's turnout, elsewhere, the women's turnout is not based on the program. They have now faith on Narendra Modi's social philosophy that he had provided some kind of autonomy to women to decide their voting pattern.
Sir, in Bengal, the same women
no,
voted
but
for Mamata.
can I point one second?
In Bengal, we are always fighting for the.
The women voted for Mamata in Bengal.
You know, where our party machinery. No, there is a difference between the two. When you are going for the women voters, their support for Narendra Modi is because that he expanded democracy to their doors. It is not only that they are just turned out and they are voting for.
Sure. So when you're talking about what's working, Rakeshji, let me also tell you what's not working. The one interesting thing to look at as you study this India Today Access My India poll is that amongst the first-time voters, those between 18 and 25, the young voters, the BJP trails the Congress. In Uttarakhand, for example, 38% of the first-time 18 to 25 voters voted for the BJP, 43% for the Congress. The 5% gap, first-time voters and young voters. So, Pradeep, build on this. While they're doing very well among 61 and above, 50 and above, 26 and above, amongst the aspirational young voters, the BJP is actually trailing by 5%.
And can I quickly add to that, Uttarakhand has one of the highest unemployment rates in the country. Yeah. Let's be very clear. It's not as if Uttarakhand gave a great government. 3 chief ministers. The BJP government there failed. Yes.
That's what I'm trying to make the point that here also, this is the overall tally where the male voter is more aspirational towards the job, towards their financial status, whereas the social government schemes mostly is skewed towards women. And that is where the youth feel they are left out from the total spectrum and they go elsewhere.
Okay. No, but the big fear here, and Rohan Gupta from the Congress joins us, that when circumstances are ripe for change in Goa 2017, in Gujarat 2017, in Haryana 2019, the Congress just doesn't have enough gas in the tank to be able to go across the finishing line. Your vote share is up 7% in Uttarakhand. The BJP's vote share is down 3%. You still can't land that killer blow. You can't knock out your opponent.
If these numbers are right.
All of this is if these numbers are right. Rohan? You're on mute. You're an IT social media guy. Get your Zoom act in order.
Please, boss, there is some technical issue from your side, Rahul.
Okay, good.
I'm trying to figure out, so I understand what is Zoom. Now can you hear me?
Joking. Please tell us. Yes, I hear you well. Go on.
Yeah, so Rahul, basically we have seen what has happened to exit polls in past, whether it is Bihar, whether it is UP, and we have seen what are the final numbers which have come out. I think we should wait for 10 and see what is happening on ground. I was there in Punjab for last 1 week, and the kind of wave we had in last 1 week was absolutely commendable. So I think let's wait till 10 and you will see the difference in what is shown right now and what is going to happen on ground. And let me tell you one more thing, whether it is Uttarakhand or whether it is Goa, the way Congress cadre fought tooth and nail, we were not fighting only against BJP. We were fighting against all the parties, whether BJP is A team, B team, C team, but we really fought very hard. And I am sure all these states, we are definitely going to form clear-cut government. There is absolutely no doubt on that.
So we're now going to move from Uttarakhand to Goa. Yes, I know you're waiting for Uttar Pradesh. Just bear with us. Today was the last phase of polling. We're getting our numbers right. We want to be as exact as is possible. So stay with us for Uttar Pradesh. Let's now come to Goa. Rajdeep, your state.
My home state, where I have extra interest in knowing what is happening in Goa. Small state, but we are a beautiful state. Trust me, no
it's a messy state, Rajdeep.
It is a messy state
politically. Politics of Goa are more messy than anywhere else.
Politically, what is happening in Goa? And this is why Goa is fascinating. This is the tight contest of 2022. 33% at the moment is to the BJP. 32% vote share to the Congress, neck and neck. 12% to the TMC, MGP. Very interesting, we are putting it TMC plus, but the real driving force of that alliance is the MGP, and I'll tell you why, Rahul, in a moment, and 23% others. What this suggests is while the BJP has 33% vote, almost similar what they got in 2017, the anti-BJP vote is split 3 ways. There is the Congress, there is the TMC MGP alliance, and there are others that include AAP and smaller parties. So you've got a divided opposition, BJP at 33%. 40 seats, many of those seats have got about 30,000 voters, so even 10,000 votes are enough to win. What is Pradeep Gupta predicting in this toughest of all states? Pradeep Gupta, you're on the line in my home state of Goa. Everyone in Goa is waiting for these numbers. These are the numbers of the Axis My India poll for Goa. 40 seats in all. Pradeep Gupta is saying BJP 14 to 18, halfway point 16. Congress 15 to 20. First time the Congress has gone ahead of the BJP in any state that we've covered today. TMC 0 to 5. That's TMC plus. So it's MGP TMC to be fair. That's the pre-poll alliance that could hold the key to Goa. Others 0 to 4. Independents and Aam Aadmi Party among the others that are listed. Pradeep Gupta, you are going to create a real mess along the Mandavi River. This will result long nights post-poll. बहुत लेन देन होने वाला है अभी.
Now, so only 40 seats to be distributed among 6 parties.
Yes.
When I say 6 parties, you have already spoken about the major parties, including AAP, TMC Gadbandhan, and Congress and BJP. There is also RGP of Manoj.
Revolutionary Goans.
Yes. So they are
you giving them one seat or are you giving them votes only?
No. I am giving them the vote share. I don't think they are likely to win any seat, but they are splitting the anti-BJP votes in a big time.
So basically, Rahul, the story of Goa is the BJP, there is anti-incumbency, strong. Out of all the states you see, the Chief Minister's popularity here is the lowest among all the BJP states. But the anti-BJP vote is getting split. That gives the BJP a window of opportunity. But the key is 0 to 5 is Trinamool, Congress and MGP.
2 to 5.
2 to 5. Sorry, 2 to 5, which means what? Whoever ties up with that bloc could form the government. Now,
you're imagining the bloc is one, the bloc can be bought.
That's right. So, out of the bloc, for our viewers, the MGP was with the BJP in 2017. The BJP broke the MGP. My sources are telling me, MGP is saying, give us the chief ministership, we'll tie up even if we have 3 MLAs. However, BJP is unlikely to do that. You could have a Maharashtra experiment where the MGP says, give us chief minister, Congress agrees. However, if the Congress reaches 18 or 20, Congress wins. It is that close. 2 MPs, according to...
I'm not sure, Rajdeep. Even if the Congress is 18, the chance of the BJP finding some way of getting in through the back door is high.
Yes, it happened in 2017.
Yes.
2017, BJP had 13, Congress had 17, and yet the BJP formed the government, even though there were potential pre-poll...
Rajdeep, you and I were in Panjim together when one of these leaders who's now left the BJP, has gone elsewhere, was sitting and telling Devendra Fadnavis that he'll come back later if required. It happened in front of us.
Absolutely, Rahul. I don't rule out anything in Goa. However, Pradeep's numbers leave open all possibilities. If it is 18 to 20, I would say Congress has the advantage. If the gap is only 2 seats between the Congress and the BJP, BJP has the advantage. Nitin Gadkari flew last time in a special plane overnight and at Siddhartha Goa struck a deal with a distant relative of mine called Vijay Sardesai. Only relative, no other, I want to make it clear, no other interest. However, he had 3 seats that time. This time, the MGP holds the key. This is the original party of Goa, won the first 20 years, won all elections in Goa. This is the dream scenario for them. But, interestingly, Mamata Banerjee could turn around and say, we are a pre-poll alliance. Let's come together. So, NCP, Shiv Sena, Congress in Maharashtra, MGP, TMC, Congress in Goa. So Mamata gets a toehold.
You're thinking Mamata's MLAs will stay with her. It's very easy to break Mamata's MLAs.
You know, I hate to say this. Our Goa MLAs, sadly in the past, have been available to the highest bidder. And if nothing works, you can make me CM.
And there was a sting operation where they were willing to switch sides.
No, I'm joking. If nothing works, you have to make me the CM.
Vote for Rajdeep. But you have to be a pre-poll candidate, Rajdeep. You can't post-poll say, vote for me for being CM.
Rahul, I like to sit by in my veranda in my house in Goa and relax.
Rajdeep is saying, no Vijay Sardesai, vote for me or at least allow me to be CM.
Azam Akbar tells Anarkali, ki aa gayi na kanis ki aakhri khwahish uske dewa.
No, but more seriously, just let's look at the chief ministers in Goa, and that will tell you, Rahul, unlike in the other states, this is what has happened. When you look at chief ministers in Goa, who are the preferred chief ministerial candidates as per the My India Axis poll? And here you'll see that clearly Pradeep Sawant, who's the chief minister at the moment.
Pramod
Sawant, sorry, had 19%. Any candidate from the Congress, which is Digambar Kamat, 12%. Interestingly, any candidate from the Congress is 12%. So you add the two, there is a mood for change in Goa. When a chief minister only has 19% support, that means people want someone else other than the sitting chief minister. But because the opposition is split, that's the only reason why the BJP still has half a chance in Goa at the moment. Except at least some state there is anti-incumbency.
Rajdeep, I disagree that in first past poll, always there is a split of the votes. The ruling party comes through the split of the votes. So you can't blame that BJP is coming because there is a split of votes. Besides remaining the ruling party, BJP is getting the vote share, the same vote share of the last year, the last election. This shows that BJP's popularity is intact. Rather, I say that...
Sir, 33% BJP, 67 don't want to vote for BJP.
Rajdeep, on 10th, you will find that BJP more votes, more seats than you are predicting.
Pradeep, is this your worst nightmare because of how small the seats are and how small the margins are?
One thing, and also there is another story in Goa, Rajdeep knows better. There is a North Goa and South Goa. Sure. So BJP is doing whatever they are doing only in North Goa. South Goa, no way.
And let me explain this to our viewers, Rahul. In North Goa, as per Pradeep's thing, 20 seats, BJP winning in 12, Congress in 5, MGP in 2. Now, North Goa has a larger Hindu population. Yes. South Goa, BJP winning in 4, Congress, GFP, Goa Forward 14. MGP 1, others 1. Now, the difference between 2017 and now is this. In South Goa, the BJP had 8 Catholic candidates who won. In 2017, this time the Catholic vote has gone away from the BJP, and my view is you can't win Goa without the Catholic vote.
So when it comes to the Catholic, when it comes to the Christian vote, yes, the Congress has got 48% of the Christian vote. Yes, the BJP only 18. But that was also the magic of Parrikar, that he was able to get the Christian vote to the BJP's camp, which hasn't happened this time.
And absolutely, and also for the Congress to win Goa, they needed 60% of that vote. That is the vote that has got split. The Christian vote has also gone, some of it to the Aam Aadmi Party.
Very little, 8%.
Yeah, but you see, you need that to get all these. See, Goa, Rahul, 500 votes is enough to lose and win a constituency. So 8% makes a difference.
Yeah, and Rajdeep, one more thing is very important in the context of Goa is that out of 40 total MLAs, 26 MLAs switched their side. That's the last time. And as per our poll, out of 26, only 6 is likely to win. 20 is people have rejected big time.
How will Rahul Srivastava, Mamata Banerjee see this? She went into Goa, she tied up with the MGP, they are getting 2 to 5. Do you see her actually saying, look, let's become kingmakers in Goa by convincing the MGP, or do you think MGP will do its own thing?
See, Mamata Banerjee has not gone to Goa to win their state, form a government. I think what Mamata Banerjee has gone to expand her footprint. And that expanding the footprint element, Rajdeep, will mean creating a Maharashtra-like situation in which perhaps Mamata Banerjee will say that I'm helping the Congress or somebody rule a state. And that way, this is what BJP did, Rajdeep. In Maharashtra or in Punjab, it was part of an alliance with a ruling party.
But you're also assuming that the smaller party leaders will stay with the party. All of these are imports. They'll happily go to the highest bidder.
No, I also know that BJP has more money. Definitely.
No, Rahul, Mamata's experiment outside West Bengal will fail. And you will see in the Goa, hardly TMC will get a single seat. It is all MGP. And MGP, there will be break of the alliance. It was an experiment against the Congress. So Mamata's fight is not for the democratic leadership, but fight for the space in the Congress system.
Rahul, it's like a jaded boxer, just not able to land the knockout punch. Even when the momentum is in their favor, they can't win.
True. That's the difficulty for the Congress party at the moment. 2022 could have been their best year. Out of 7 states, they were in opposition party in 6 of them or 5 of them. And all they had to do is basically channelize all the anti-incumbency sentiments that were there against each of the government, including Uttarakhand. And Congress seems to be investing its resources and energy in states where they can't do anything.
Jasmine Shah joins us from the Aam Aadmi Party. When you look at Punjab and then you compare that with Goa, it's just a bit of a wasted effort. You made all those noises. In the end, you don't have anything to show for it according to this exit poll.
Well, Rahul, let's wait for the voting results day. And yes, the trend doesn't look great as of now, but we are very confident that the people of Goa have received AAP with a lot of warmth. And as far as the vote share is concerned, we are going to more than double the vote share that we had in the last time. Of course, we are talking about very, very small margins. So these numbers could fluctuate, wildly come the results day.
It's
But as far as
interesting, in
Punjab is
Punjab, you
concerned,
don't want to wait till the 10th. You're already accepting congratulations, at least all those who came before you did.
Because the trend
in
is
Goa,
very
you want to
clear in
wait till the
Punjab.
10th. That's fine. We see
No,
that.
but trend is very clear. It's a very messy election in Goa. Everybody accepts that. And with the number of alliances and the very small electorates, I think it is going to be a very difficult to call state.
Plus
And
the fact,
we are
Rajdeep, that
expecting a
this is
very
really
strong
about individual candidates.
Absolutely.
They can be goons, they can be thugs, they can be, mafia in their patch. But basically, it's the candidate who carries voters with him.
Sir, इतने भी हम बुरे नहीं हैं.
काफी बुरे हैं, sir. One second. No, look at the case. Not all of them. Not all of them, but so many of them.
No, let me give you an example. Just now, Rakesh Sinha said TMC may not win anything. Churchill Anemau and his daughter are both contesting. One of them, I think the daughter more likely, certainly to win. There's another candidate, Kiran Kandolkar, his wife may win. Goa, you're absolutely right, though, individual candidates matter. Sir, 25,000 is the total voting in a constituency. I need 8 to 10,000 to win, especially in a multi-cornered race. So that makes my equations with the voters that much more important. The party symbol doesn't matter. Party may give me cash at best to carry forward the election. Rest is my targeting of the voter. What has happened in Goa, the reason why the Congress has half a chance is the Christian vote. Michael Lobo, key member of the BJP, switched to the Congress. 3 other Catholic MLAs of the BJP switched to other parties. If the BJP loses Goa, it will be because the Christian vote has gone, and there is a sense this was a state, he may disagree, they mismanaged COVID completely,
The other
and
interesting
there is
thing,
anger and high unemployment.
Like we discussed in Uttarakhand, here too, more women are voting for the BJP than men.
Smaller amount, by a smaller amount.
But 34 versus 32. 34% women have voted for the BJP, 32% men. So once again, and if you join all these dots together, the trend that will emerge, and look out for it at the end, is that women are preferring the BJP more than men are. And that, Sheila, is interesting because all these labhartis, these schemes, women, the modern Indian voter has a mind of her own, she'll do her own thing.
So as we discussed, I also wanted to add one important thing, that in Indian style of election campaigning and brand management of leadership, Modi has branded himself and very much emphasized that he's a loner, he doesn't have a family, and women think, lots of women think that he's a man only working for the country and not for the family. I think that is also going down, percolating down. BJP has also tried it, and in around 2004, we wrote such a stories in Gujarat because that was the way he has projected himself also.
I would intervene
and that appeal we must not underestimate.
Rahul, one thing you just see after coming to power,
that his family is not liability to him.
This is not a big factor. What is more important factor after coming to power? His emphasis on the emancipation of women.
Okay.
And in democratic setup, just see that Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao.
Can we go
that
across
is very successful
to Dr.
scheme.
Pramod Sawant, the
Yes,
Chief
Minister of Goa is joining us.
Goa, and also amongst all the candidates, when the question was asked, who would you like to see as Chief Minister, Pramod Sawant comes in at number 1 with 19% of the respondents saying Pramod Sawant for CM. Mr. Sawant, welcome. It's great to have you with us. 14 to 18 for the BJP according to the Access My India poll, 15 to 20 for the Congress. Are you confident? Are you biting your nails that this ball can swing in either direction on the 10th?
I'm 100% confidence. Bharatiya Janata Party बहुमत से गोवा में सरकार बना रही है. We are getting the majority of the seats, 20 plus seats we are getting in the state of Goa.
Sir, but as per our survey, Dr. Sawant, you're getting 14 to 18, Congress 15 to 20. MGP could hold the key. Are you willing to do a deal with MGP? The buzz in Goa is MGP wants chief ministership.
मैं फिर से कह रहा हूं कि एमजीपी को चीफ मिनिस्टरशिप चाहिए, लेकिन 14 से 18 बीजेपी के सीट आ रहे हैं. देयर आर द 2-3 इंडिपेंडेंट कैंडिडेट आल्सो विनिंग इन द स्टेट ऑफ गोवा. विद द सपोर्ट ऑफ द इंडिपेंडेंट आल्सो वी कैन फॉर्म द गवर्नमेंट, अदरवाइज विद द सपोर्ट ऑफ द एमजीपी.
And will you be the chief minister, Dr. Sawant, or will someone else be the chief minister, sir?
Definitely my party will give me the preference again for the chief minister seat.
You seem very, very confident, Dr. Sawant. You obviously have struck your deals, I think, in advance, is it?
Not the deal, but I have the confidence on my central leadership and state leadership and all the MLAs. So definitely they'll prefer me, and my central leadership will keep confidence in me for the leadership in the state.
You know, this north-south divide that comes out very strong in our poll. If you see in North Goa, out of the 20 seats, the BJP projected to bag 12, the Congress only 5, whereas in South, you're projected to bag only 4 and the Congress 14, which essentially suggests that a lot of the Christian vote that Manohar Parrikar was able to attract to the BJP, on your watch you haven't been able to attract Christian voters in the same way, Dr. Sawant.
It is not so. आपने result देखने के बाद आपको पता चलेगा. In the south also will get the more than 8 to 10 seats in the South Goa. Definitely, they are the only in the Salset Taluka they are getting the preference for the Congress. Otherwise, not. So that I am very much confident in South Goa also we are getting the more than 8 to 10 seats.
Okay, you're projecting confidence as you must. It's a tight fight. You have a few tough nights ahead of you. We wish you all the best and we hope to have you back with us on the 10th. For the time being, Dr. Pramod Sawant, thank you for joining us. We've discussed Punjab, we've discussed Uttarakhand, we've discussed Goa. Now we go to Manipur.
That's right. I spent a few days in Manipur. Again, very difficult state. Pradeep, hold on for 2 minutes because we have the state of Manipur. What is the Axis My India poll saying about the state of Manipur? First, the vote share. Remember, this is another state which is fascinating because it is a very difficult state to predict. There are 60 seats on offer, 40 in the Imphal Valley, 20 in the hills. This is what our vote share for the state of Manipur is suggesting at the moment. Let's take a look at that. Projected vote share for Manipur, we are projecting 36 at the moment, 42% for the BJP, 35% for the Congress, and we are projecting therefore a 7% lead in vote share for the BJP over the Congress at the moment. That's what... Yes.
No, that is the last time vote share.
Sorry, last time vote share. Sorry, I must apologize for those numbers there in Manipur. We are projecting at the moment 41% for the BJP, 18% for the Congress, 16% for the NPP, which is Conrad Sangma's party, NPF, the Naga People's Front, 8%, JDU, which is contesting in Manipur, is 5%, others 12%. But a huge gap. The BJP doing very well as per this survey in Manipur. 41% is a huge number in Manipur. How is this all translating into seats in Manipur? This is what the India Today Axis My India poll is suggesting for numbers for the state of Manipur. 60 seats on offer. Take a look at where the numbers stand. 33 to 43 for the BJP, 33 to 43, a clear majority for the BJP in Manipur, something they have never achieved. Remember last time they managed to form a government only in a post-poll coalition, had less seats than the Congress. The Congress just down to 4 to 8, disaster for the Congress in Manipur. NPP that was hoping to play kingmaker, 4 to 8, keep a watch out for them if the BJP numbers fall. NPF, the party of the Naga People's Front, 4 to 8. There are 4 seats which they will win. I don't think they may go as high as 8. We don't know. JDU is 2 to 4. They also have some strong candidates. Those who left didn't get BJP tickets went and joined Nitish Kumar's party. Others 0 to 3. But the big picture, Rahul, is that the BJP could get a majority if Pradeep's numbers are right for the first time in Manipur, and that's huge.
Rajdeep, here I would make intervention that Prime Minister Narendra Modi's Northeast policy is highly successful, and this is the reason for the success of the Bharatiya Janata Party, not only Manipur but other also northeastern states. You just see the National People's Party is also contesting that a party belongs to Meghalaya.
Okay, can I go across to Pushkar Singh Dhami? He's joining us. I'm coming back to you in just a moment. Pushkar Dhami is the Chief Minister of Uttarakhand, and according to this poll, the #1 choice to be Chief Minister again. 34% of the respondents, धामी जी, से कि वो चाहते हैं कि पुष्कर धामी ही चीफ मिनिस्टर बने. आपको धामी जी आवाज आ रही है कि नहीं? धामी साहब, आवाज आ रही है कि नहीं आ रही है आपको मेरी? मुझे तो आपकी आवाज आ रही है. आपको मेरी आवाज आ रही है धामी जी? Okay, give us a moment. We'll try and have him back with us. But it's significant that the BJP expected to cross the victory margin, the majority figure in the state of Uttarakhand. You want to make a point of Manipur?
No, Manipur, yes, very important. Manipur, see, in Manipur is all about individual candidate. Now coming to Manipur, Congress won 29 seats, 29 MLAs in Manipur out of 60, meaning they were short of only 2 MLAs to form the government, and the reality is out of 29 MLAs, 16 shifted. 16 MLAs shifted to BJP, to JDU and regional parties, and that is what is making all the difference in Manipur. It's all about individual who matters. It's all about individual who matters. That is what is
Pradeepji, I disagree here, because the Northeast policy of Prime Minister Narendra Modi is making impact in 3 ways. The infrastructure development, people are realizing that after independence for the first time, someone is coming Northeastern. Prime Minister Modi visited more than 40 times in Northeastern states. It is accumulated visits of all his predecessors Prime Minister. Second important thing is that the people of Manipur are getting the welfare schemes. Northeastern states basically welfare schemes could not reach in the past. There was no welfare scheme particularly intended for the poor people. So the mainstreaming of the poor people in the democratic setup is a great achievement of the Bharatiya Janata Party in Manipur and other states.
And the collapse of the Congress in one more state, Rahul Verma.
Yeah. I'm getting the Congress question again and again, and I don't want to. I think
it's the story of the election.
But I think because I'll be repeating myself, I want to point out something different. I think BJP winning Manipur basically signals now after they won Assam last year, second time, Manipur second time. So BJP was a party which was not present in Northeast at all before 2014, and now if they are coming to these states second time, basically changes the nature and character of the party. And you're right, basically Congress is vacating the space. Congress is not fighting hard in these states. I don't know what new things I can say about Congress not fighting in these places. The interesting point is what BJP has managed to do is basically got both political elites from parties like Congress, as Pradeep ji pointed out, as well as local elites in the party. So now BJP is not only moving with PM's image, but also building the party in the north.
In fact, both these states, Manipur and Goa, more than half the candidates are actually from the Congress. So their Congressification has taken place of the BJP in these states, as they did in Puducherry. That's how the BJP expands in a number of states. I'm joined by Mr. Kekong. Mr. Kekong,
no, absolutely not. We are forming the government on our own, and we will get absolute majority. 34 is the minimum that we are expecting, and it is projected to get higher in the days to come. I mean, when the result is counted. One thing I would like to say is that stitching together a coalition post result is another thing, but getting a resounding majority for the BJP alone is a big achievement for the state of Manipur, because we have seen the development in the last 5 years, which is remarkable, resounding, which is, compared to the 15 years of Congress rule in the state, it is really achieved, high level of development. And that is the reason why people have voted and people have reposed their faith in the BJP-led government in Manipur.
Okay, I'm sorry, Mr. Kekong, we're going to have to leave you because we'll wait and see how Manipur votes. Now it's time, Rahul, to start doing what everyone is asking for. What is the My India Axis My India poll telling us about the state of Uttar Pradesh? And what Rahul and I are going to do is what we did in the general election. We will go region by region. We do exit polls seriously. We don't just throw a number at you. We will explain and build you the drama, because trust me, there is drama to be had. This is going to be a result that's going to shock you. It's a sensational result that's coming up in Uttar Pradesh. The kind that you have perhaps never imagined what could have happened in Uttar Pradesh. The most populous state in the country, roads to Delhi lead through Lucknow. What is the road of Uttar Pradesh telling us? Rahul, why don't you kick off?
So, should we go region by region first?
I think go region by region.
We'll start with Western Uttar Pradesh. And remember, in Western Uttar Pradesh, there are three regions. So there's Doab, there's Braj, and there's Rohilkhand. We'll take Doab first. In Doab, you've got Bagpat, Bulandshahr, Noida, Ghaziabad, Meerut, Muzaffarnagar, Saharanpur, and Shamli. In the Doab region, Access My India is predicting for the India Today group that the BJP will get 34 seats, and when it comes to vote share, 47% of the vote share. The SP will get 37% of the vote share. So a 10% gap between the BJP and the SP when it comes to Doab. Let's now come to Braj. Braj has 40 seats. In these 40 seats are the seats of Agra, Aligarh, Etah, Firozabad, Hathras, Mainpuri and Mathura. So when it comes to the vote shares in the region of the Braj area, 47% of the vote share for the BJP, 34% of the vote share for the Samajwadi Party. So a 13% difference. However, the moment you come to Rohilkhand, here there are 52 seats. Here the battle is much tighter. In Rohilkhand, you've got Amroha, Bareilly, Bijnor, Badaयूं, Moradabad, Pilibhit, Rampur, Sambhal and Shahjahanpur. Here in these 52 seats, when you look at these numbers, it's a very tight fight. 44% vote share for the Samajwadi Party, 43% for the BJP. SP actually ahead of the BJP in Rohilkhand by 1% of the votes. Let's now come to Purvanchal. This is Eastern Uttar Pradesh, 139 seats in Eastern Uttar Pradesh, including Varanasi, which went to polls today, Siddharthnagar, Sonbhadra, Shravasti, Sant Kabir Nagar, Gonda, Gorakhpur, Jaunpur, Kaushambi, Ambedkar Nagar, Azamgarh, Balia, Balrampur, among others. Here, if you look at the vote share, and this is interesting because this is where the Samajwadi Party was hoping to do well. 34% of the vote share for the SP, the BJP in Eastern Uttar Pradesh at 46% vote share. A 12% gap between the SP and the BJP in that crucial belt of Purvanchal in Eastern UP. Let's now come to Central UP, the area of Awadh. In Awadh, you've got 109 seats. This includes places like Amethi, Auraiya, Ayodhya, Baraich, Barabanki, Etawah, Farrukhabad, Fatehpur, Lakhimpur Kheri, Unnao, Sultanpur, Sitapur, Lucknow and Raebareli. Here, it's interesting to see that there is a massive gap between the SP and the BJP. 48 plays 37. Akhilesh Yadav's SP at 37, the BJP at 48, the BSP only at 10. A huge 11% gap between the BJP and the SP in the area of Awadh. From here, let's now come to Central Uttar. So one second, I want to go across now to Bundelkhand. Bundelkhand has 19 seats. In Bundelkhand, 47% of the vote share is going to the BJP, 30% of the vote share is going to the Samajwadi Party. That's in Bundelkhand, in places like Chitrakoot, Hamirpur, Jalayu, Jhansi, Lalitpur and Mahoba. Let's now come to seats.
You want to wait for the seats and hold a bit of suspense?
We can do that.
Let's wait for the, because I think people are going to be surprised by the numbers. First reactions, therefore, to the numbers that Rahul has just thrown in terms of percentages. Preeti Chaudhary, you travel through all these parts. As Rahul's poll says, in almost all these regions, the BJP seems to have virtually a double-digit lead at times over the rivals. Are you surprised? Especially Western UP and Rohilkhand, where you expected the kind of alliance that Akhilesh had struck with the RLD to provide a real opposition to the BJP.
Well, Rajdeep, yes, I am surprised because at least anecdotally, what I had seen more than even Western UP, if I may add, I thought Purvanchal is where I actually saw a bigger buzz for the Samajwadi Party. And that's a huger gap is what, what we predicted right now. So what I felt, BJP did have an edge, but having said that, this massive difference in terms of vote percentage, no, I would not have gauged that as a reporter on ground. Because on ground, what seemed to suggest is, it's har seat phasi hui hai, it's neck and neck, every seat is tight. So, as a reporter, it's very difficult to gauge there. So, I am surprised. I was thinking BJP had a marginal edge. This is way more than marginal with what it looks like in percentage.
But the fact is the SP was relying on its alliances with the RLD in the Jat, Muslim, Yadav belts of Western and Rohilkhand. and was relying on its smaller caste-based alliances with the likes of Om Prakash Rajbhar's party, Sanjay Chauhan's party in eastern Uttar Pradesh. None of it seems to be working as per the numbers that at the moment Rahul has given. SP is doing well only in the Yadav strongholds, not outside the Yadav strongholds, is one clear signal that's coming in at the moment. Are you surprised with what you're hearing and seeing at the moment, Rahul Verma?
I love to get surprised on every exit poll and on elections. That's why I study them. The second point, about... see, there was a big gap between SP and BJP going into the polls. It was a double-digit gap.
Yes.
Yes, it's possible that you could do it, like SP could have managed to fill that gap, but it's very, very hard to do it second consecutive time. Third, and this is again among the myths of Indian politics, that you get small parties and you can count the whole caste coming with that. Most of these small caste parties, do not have a proven track record of contesting alone and being able to mobilize the entire caste. They only do well in addition to some big political party, right? So all what we were thinking that, okay, because he's got a O.P. Rajbhar or Sanjay Nishad and other things, now the SP can basically bring all these castes together. That's one of the biggest mistake we do, that these caste leaders can mobilize the entire caste with them.
Sanjay Kumar, you've been tracking UP. Are you surprised? We've not given the numbers yet, but just in vote share, in most of the areas, the BJP is convincingly ahead, except for Rohilkhand and Mainpuri and Kannauj, the traditional Yadav strongholds. Anywhere outside that, even Western UP, the locus of the farm agitation, the BJP is holding its own versus the SP-RLD alliance.
Rajdeep, I am a little surprised about the unevenness of the lead BJP has been able to take over Samajwadi Party in different regions. There are a couple of regions where Samajwadi Party has taken lead over BJP, but the kind of lead BJP has been able to take in many regions, I am surprised about that. Even in 2017...
But is it, Sanjay ji, really uneven? Because only in Rohilkhand, the SP is ahead of the BJP by 1%.
That's right.
Everywhere else, there's at least a 10% gap between the two parties. In Bundelkhand, the gap is 17%.
And this is the poorest area of UP for our viewers. So the poorer areas are actually voting Rahul even more strongly for the BJP. Yes, Sanjay Kumar.
But even in, see, if a party has taken lead of say 10-12% in all the regions, I am surprised about the other region. Then how come the party is trailing by 1% in one region? Even if you look at the 2017 assembly election results, BJP swept the entire UP, and the difference in vote share of BJP was not dramatically different in different regions. Yes, in the eastern region which went to poll today, the BJP's vote share was less, 31%.
But could it just be demography and the percentage of Muslim voters in seats like Amroha, in seats like Bareilly, in seats like Moradabad, Pilibhit, Rampur?
There has to be some factors. There has to be demographic differences from different regions. And we know that since people belonging to different caste communities vote differently, that is the reason why a party gets higher vote share in one region and lesser vote share in other region. But the kind of difference which the polls are predicting, I am a little surprised about that kind of a difference.
No one has travelled as much through UP as Rahul Srivastava. As I said, he's a Chora Ganga Kinare Wala. He is from Agra, original.
Yes.
And as I've seen on Neta Nagri in Lallan Top, wonderful Shire. ये क्या हो रहा है आपके राज्य में? This is, we've had elections in UP, Rahul, where we've had clear majorities in the past, 2007, 12, 17. Are you surprised with the vote share? Rahul hasn't yet given us the seat share, but the vote share, has it left you surprised, just the scale, even in Western UP, where 47 is playing 37 in Doab and Braj? Heartland, we thought of the farmers' agitation.
Razib, it surprises me.
Yes.
It surprises me because the BJP's own internal survey, in Paschim region losing 36 seats, in Braj region losing 16, in Kanpur losing 22, Awadh 26, Gorakhpur 29, Kashi 29. Then I will come to the majority dominating castes of the which the BJP calculates what is called the PCPA, political affinity. Now, Brahmins had voted 100%. The BJP is predicting 25% drift away from the BJP. Kurmi 50%, Jat 50%, Gujar 50%, Rajbar 50%, Bind 50%, Kushwaha 50%, Jatav, which had voted 35 to 40% for them, 15%. Only 26 castes the BJP feels are going to be 100% with it, which are Thakur, Kais, Bania, Bhumiyar, Maurya, Lodh, Saini and Shakir. Now in that scenario, if the BJP is looking at 50% Jat drift, Rajdeep, in this region, the Jat vote is actually as a very interesting entity, Rajdeep, because the Jats maintained their Chodrahat despite being only half of the Muslim population in any constituency in Western UP. They became the leaders because of the Muslim votes actually.
Okay.
They lost that. They lost that because of becoming part of a big pool called the BJP.
You're sitting next to a Jat who, let's be clear.
Known for the Chodrahat.
2013, let's put it in context. 2013 Muzaffarnagar happens. 2014 the BJP gets the benefit of the growing Jat-Muslim divide that takes place in the aftermath of the riot. It sustains till 2017. General reporting from the ground suggested that this time, because of the tie-up between RLD and SP, because it's now 8 years, because of the farmers' agitation, the Jats now are going to reassert their original identity, come together with the Muslims, and this could be the winning card. As per the exit poll, that is not happening. Are you surprised? That's what I come back to, Preeti. This is one of the big surprises of UP. We'll come to Purvanchal and other areas in a moment.
No, this doesn't surprise me, Rajdeep, because when I was on ground, the Jat was split. I don't think they voted as an identity of a Kisan. They voted as an identity of a Hindu. And why so, I'll tell you. The ghosts of the riots were very much present when you spoke to a lot of them. And the reason which I'll tell you, if, let's say, the RLD had tied up with any other party, it would have worked out for a lot of Jat community members. The reason that they tied up with the Samajwadi Party, the way Samajwadi Party is perceived to have dealt with the riots, and the aftermath of the riots is something that a lot in the community cannot forget.
So basically the Samajwadi Party still carries the baggage of the past.
And for an RLD, so they will not let a Samajwadi Party candidate stand on an RLD ticket. They will not हैंड पंप नहीं दाबेंगे अगर सपा का खड़ा होगा, सपा को नहीं दबाएंगे क्योंकि आरएलडी साथ.
But RLD को भी इतने वोट नहीं आ रहे जितने we thought they would get. So it's all clearly working at the moment as per vote share, heavily in front of the BJP. How big is Pradeep Gupta and Axis My India predicting? Rahul, take over. Give us the numbers that we've been waiting for. Uttar Pradesh, kaun jeetega Uttar Pradesh? Rahul Kawal, over to you.
Okay, get your pens out or your calculators. And let's get started. I'm going to look at Western UP first. In Western UP, there are three regions, Doab, Rohilkhand and Braj. So we'll start with Doab. Here, there are 44 seats. Out of these 34 seats, what you're seeing on your screen is the vote share right now, 47 versus 37. If we convert this into seats, Axis My India predicts for India Today that out of the 44 seats of Doab, the BJP is likely to get 34. This is areas like Baghpat, Bulandshahr, Noida, Ghaziabad, Hapur, Meerut, Muzaffarnagar, Saharanpur and Shamli. 34 versus 9. This is largely phase 1, where the SP was expected to do well, but it doesn't seem to have materialized on the ground in the same way according to this Access My India poll. 34 versus 9. Let's now come to Braj Bhumi. 40 seats in Braj, and this includes seats like Agra, Aligarh, Etah, Firozabad, Hathras, Kasganj, Mainpuri and Mathura. 47 versus 34 is the gap when it comes to vote share. When converted into seats, 34 of these seats to the BJP, 6 to the Samajwadi Party. The others don't open their accounts. In the second region as well, the BJP doing smashingly well. Let's now come to Rohilkhand. Here, the SP is actually 1% ahead of the BJP when it comes to vote share in seats like Amroha, Bareilly, Bijnor, Badaयूं, Moradabad, Pilibhit, Rampur, Sambhal and Shahjahanpur. Here, when we convert this into seats, it's 30 for the BJP, 21. So it's tighter, but even where SP is putting up its supposed best performance, there's a 9-seat gap, 30 plays 21. 30 for Yogi Adityanath and the BJP, 21 for the SP. Let's now cut across to the phases right at the end, the 139 seats of Eastern Uttar Pradesh, Purvanchal. So this includes places like Ambedkar Nagar, Azamgarh, Balia, Balrampur, Gonda, Gorakhpur, Jaunpur, Pratapgarh, Prayagraj, Varanasi, Maharajganj. Here, if you look at the 139 seats, 46 versus 34. So a 12% gap when it comes to vote share. When translated into seats, Access My India predicts for the India Today group that in eastern Uttar Pradesh, the BJP is likely to bag a whopping 96 seats, the SP only 36, the BSP 3, the Congress 2. 96 versus 36. That is a sweep for the BJP in eastern Uttar Pradesh, which is where a lot of pundits who are traveling to these Akhilesh rallies thought that there is a big SP wave building. The poll doesn't reflect that. Let's now come to central Uttar Pradesh, the area of Awadh. 109 seats here. Here, the vote share gap between the two formations is 37 versus 48, so an 11% gap. This includes places like Amethi, Ayodhya, Bharaich, Barabanki, Etawah, Farrukhabad, Gonda, Hardoi, Kannauj, Kanpur, Lakhimpur Kheri, Lucknow, Raebareli, Sitapur, Sultanpur and Unnao. Here again, out of these 109 seats, a sweep for the BJP, 94 plays 14. That's the Access My India, India Today poll. So if you got your calculators up and you're calculating, it's building to a BJP wave. Let's now come to Bundelkhand. Bundelkhand is the most impoverished part of Uttar Pradesh. 19 seats here in places like Mahoba, Lalitpur, Jhansi, Jalgaon, Hamirpur, Chitrakoot and Banda. Here in Banda and in the other areas, out of these 19 seats, the Access My India, India Today poll actually predicts that the BJP might end up with all. So nobody gets to open their account in Bundelkhand. That's what this poll is predicting. So essentially, Rajdeep, Yogi and Modi double engine ki sarkar, like Sachin and Sehwag, have whacked everyone else out of the park.
Should I give the big number?
Yeah, absolutely. Come.
You know, when you look at these big numbers, and I know they're stunning, Rahul, but we've seen election results in recent times give these stunning numbers. Take a look, Rahul, at where we stand. Rahul's given you a region by region breakup, and it's fascinating. Every region BJP well ahead, some more than others. It's time, therefore, to give you the big numbers, the make or break numbers. Uttar Pradesh, 403 seats on offer. What is the Access My India exit poll from UP saying? Look at these numbers. Sensational. 288 to 326. We are predicting a sweep of the same that the BJP won with 315 seats last time. 288 to 326. So halfway point is about 305 seats. Over 300 is what is being predicted. Yogi Adityanath could then do what no one has done so far in the history of Uttar Pradesh since actually ever. 5 years as Chief Minister and then win again. It's never been done. Not since 1985 has a government been re-elected. This is history if it happens. Akhilesh Yadav plus allies, 71 to 101. Improvement over when he was tying up with the Congress, but still well behind as per this poll. Mayawati, the mighty Mayawati who won a majority in 2007, is down to single digits as per this poll, 3 to 9. That may not be a surprise. Many people feared the worst for her. Congress, Priyanka Gandhi Vadra addressed 172 rallies plus road shows, 1 to 3. Others is 2 to 3 at the moment. This is an absolute landslide which is being predicted. And if this is true, it could completely realign our understanding of UP politics, and it could mean that the BJP is now got the momentum to go into 2024 as well, because when you win Uttar Pradesh by these margins, it gives you the momentum. It could crush the opposition in India's most populous state. I hate to say I told you so, but there's a column I wrote 10 days ago saying BJP clear lead, for which I was attacked. But this is what the numbers are showing at the moment. I could be horribly wrong, both in my column. These numbers could be wrong. These are only predictions. I had said the BJP had a lead. I gave 5 factors. You can read that column, but let's get our experts to give us the view. Is anyone surprised here? Please raise their hands if you're shocked. Preeti, you're surprised with these numbers. You believe that it's a much tighter race. Am I correct?
Well, you know, Rajdeep, if I can these numbers suggest a wave. This is a wave election then. If 326 is the number that the BJP is actually going up to anywhere over 285, this is a wave election. I didn't catch a wave as a reporter on ground. I did not catch it. I caught that wave in...
You caught anger? Did you catch anger?
In pockets, yes. In pockets, yes.
Is that anger?
Deep-seated anger in pockets. So I've always maintained this is a really tight contest. It's a tough fight. Every district you'd go to, every district would say, 9 seats hain, 9 ki 9 phasi hui.
So you're saying that it is a much tighter contest.
I would think it's with BJP.
And I think most of us would not have predicted a 300 plus, certainly. Let's be very clear.
Including the BJP at the center.
That's right. You know,
Yogi Adityanath was saying 300 plus.
Sure.
BJP at the center was saying 220, say 250.
You know, Rahul, I thought the BJP is ahead, as I said, because I think I didn't sense that kind of sharp anti-incumbency. I believe that the BJP has crafted a much wider social base. I thought Hindutva, law and order, and critically free ration. As I said, ration in the gaon, shasan in urban areas, law and order plus ration. And look at the numbers. And this is the critical number that I want our cephologists to really explore. Maybe Rahul, you want to explore this first. BJP among men, 44%, SP 40, BSP 10. Congress 3, others 3. Go to women. BJP plus 48, SP plus 32, BSP 14, Congress 3, others 3. 16% gap among women voters. If 50% of the population is voting 16% more, and remember in phases 5, 6, women voter turnout is 10 and 8% more than men. It's a done deal. That's where Pradeep is getting his numbers. The woman, Mahila voter, Ladki hu, Lad Sakti hu is what Priyanka Gandhi said, but the Ladki has gone, it appears as per this poll, fully with the BJP, Shasan plus Ration. Your views?
So first, it's possible that we get these numbers. I'm a bit skeptical on the size of...
The scale of it.
Yes.
I think we all are.
Yeah. And second, I want to basically, if these numbers are true, 48 versus 32 gap among women voters, this would be the highest gender gap anywhere in the country. Even Mamta just had 6 to 8 point advantage.
You're saying ever?
Yes, 16% gap for a political party, especially for BJP. BJP actually before 2014 used to trail among women voters. Now the trends have reversed. So reversal, but this kind of reversal in UP, 16 percentage point.
One of the women ministers of this government, Anupriya Patel, joins us from the Apna Dal. Her family was split, but the voters in Uttar Pradesh seem to have backed the BJP Apna Dal alliance very strongly, and a 16% gap in favor of the BJP among women voters. 32% women voting for the SP, 48% for the BJP alliance. There hasn't ever been such a big gap among women voters, and that could be one of the biggest takeaways from this election. Anupriya Patel. Ma'am, can you hear me, Anupriya ji?
Yes,
Anupriya ji, can you hear me? Okay, so my question is, first and foremost, congratulations.
Yes.
As far as these exit polls are concerned, your alliance seems to be winning and winning in style. Are these numbers bigger than what you would have expected, Anupriya ji?
Well, I have always maintained since the very beginning of this election that NDA will retain power and we will make a grand comeback in Uttar Pradesh, and now your exit polls are talking the same language. So I am not surprised, maybe the others would be, but I am not surprised. I was always confident we are coming back, and now we see the same happening.
And we're talking about the significance of women voters. Amongst women, 16% more women have voted for the BJP than they did for the Samajwadi Party. Amongst men, the gap is only 4%. But amongst women, the gap is much bigger, suggesting that the BJP alliance is able to pull women disproportionately to their ticket.
Certainly, this is not without a reason. A lot of our schemes were centered around women. You know, the toilets that we constructed, they have gone a long way in addressing the basic needs of women voter in the rural areas or the urban areas. Then the gas cylinders under the Ujjwala scheme, which reach the women in the households. Also, the housing facilities that we provided to the common man, the common voter, the ownership is in the name of a woman. So women voters have seen that the government has a pro-women approach insofar as the pro-poor welfare schemes are concerned, and which I think is the biggest force that has been instrumental in creating or building more faith in the minds of the women voter towards the NDA-led government, and which is why we see such a big gap in the percentage of women voter turning out to vote in favor of the NDA alliance candidates.
Thank you very much, Anupriya ji, for joining us. Also, Sanjay.
Can I ask Anupriya one question? Anupriya ji, your old friend Rajdeep Sardesai here.
Yes.
You tell me, Anupriya ji, you know,
Yes,
your party,
Rajiv
the Kurmi voter, you know, there was so much of talk about the non-Yadav voters. That 35% was going to be critical to this election. The BJP was seen to have the upper caste with them. The SP had Muslim Yadav solidly behind them. 35% non-Yadav voter OBCs, including Kurmis, would make a difference. Was this election at the end of the day fought along those lines, or are you saying that issues like Ration, Shasan, Ujwala, they go beyond these caste lines if these numbers are right? If. It's a big if these numbers are right. Because Preeti is saying, har constituency mein takkar hai.
Look now, No, both factors are equally important. Look, you cannot deny caste equations in the poll battle of Uttar Pradesh or any other state for that matter. Caste equations and caste arithmetic is important, and every party tries to, create that balance in the caste arithmetic, and the OBC voter in Uttar Pradesh constitute a sizable population, more than 50%. So you cannot ignore such a big chunk of population, because eventually your voter is coming from that population only. So definitely it makes a difference. And then insofar as the pro-poor welfare schemes are concerned, because the schemes have reached people without discrimination, and because the sizable and the considerable population is made up of the OBC voters, so definitely the OBCs, a large chunk would have benefited out of these schemes, which we are saying has created a faith in their heart towards the NDA-led alliance. So everything put together, we see this, this whole election turning in favor of NDA, and NDA coming
I have a bit of a concern.
In Uttar Pradesh,
this is largely on behalf of everyone who's watching, because so far there was an election cap on price rise when it comes to petroleum products. We're just hearing that starting 6 a.m. tomorrow, CNG prices in Delhi likely to go up by about 50 paisa per kg to 1 kilo per kilogram. That's just CNG. This is likely to happen in diesel, petrol. So basically that election moratorium on increase in petroleum prices seems to be over, Anupriya ji.
Ask about free ration. Will it continue?
Honestly, I'm really not aware of this development, so I wouldn't really know what to react to this. But no decision was ever made keeping elections in mind. We have a pure intent to serve the common voter of Uttar Pradesh or the whole country insofar as our government of India is concerned. And I would really not like to comment on this.
But that's outside the UP syllabus. No, but Anupriya ji, let me be honest. When you were on the ground, we saw Mehngai was an issue. Berozgari was a big issue among the young people. Avara Pashu, stray cattle, huge issue. People are angry, were disillusioned over these issues. Are you telling me that Ration and Shasan were enough to overcome that? You cannot tell me that people on the ground were not disillusioned. We met a number of young people saying Naukri hi nahi hai.
Okay, I have two things to say. Stray cattle menace, yes, it does exist in UP. Our government tried to address this menace. We tried to construct Gau Ashray Sthal, but I would still admit that efforts were not sufficient, and which is why Prime Minister, while addressing a rally, said that in the next regime we will do more to curb this menace. And when we spoke to the voter on ground, they did come up with this concern, but we also told them that we will do more. And they were in favor of the NDA alliance, because law and order was such a big issue that the voter had big fear in their heart that if the Samajwadi Party led alliance comes to power in Uttar Pradesh, then maybe the stray cattle menace is a smaller one, but a bad law and order would be too difficult a menace to handle. So that kind of, became a bigger issue and this became a smaller issue. Nevertheless, I would still say that yes, the problem still exists and we need to address it, and we will try, we will leave no stone unturned to address this problem. It is a serious
despite this
issue which
sweep
persists.
or seeming sweep,
and yes,
there
you
is a
also
big
raised
cause
an
of
issue about
concern
employment generation.
from the BJP's perspective, and that is this. Amongst voters who are in the age group of 18 to 25, the BJP leads the Samajwadi Party by only 1%, 41 versus 40. 40 for the SP, BJP 41. Anywhere else, the gap is 14%, 13%, 12% and 14%. But when it comes to that young and the restless voter, 18 to 25, the gap, ma'am, is only 1%. And that, despite this jubilation, is the one question mark that hangs over this result, Anupriya ji.
Well, okay, if that is the analysis, I would say that since you had raised the issue of employment generation also, we did face COVID pandemic, which kind of disrupted the whole economic scenario. And yes, this was a serious issue. But we also were successful in explaining to the young aspirational voter that we are, employment generation is high on our agenda, and we have created a roadmap to have better employment generation in our next regime. The ease of doing business ranking has improved. We have been able to create massive infrastructure across the state, whether it is roads or railways or waterways, airports, electricity, everything has improved, and we have also an improved law and order situation. So we have paved way for getting larger investments, and there are big organizations, big investors who are showing interest in UP. They see now UP as a preferable destination for investment. So maybe in our next regime, we will be able, we have decided, set a target of getting 10 lakh crores of investment. So that is a kind of argument we have put forth to the young voter, and I think to a great extent we have been able to convince them.
Okay, we'll leave it over there. Anupriya Patel, thank you for joining us. Sanjay Kumar, how do you explain that amongst this 18 to 25 voter, the gap between BJP and SP is only 1%. In any other category, it's at least 12, going up to 14%.
Frankly, Rahul, I don't think I'm in a position to explain that in one group, which is the young voters. I do get a sense from the ground. I also got the sense that, yes, there is a huge disenchantment among the young voters because unemployment is on the rise, price rise on the rise. So that disenchantment can bring the gap between Samajwadi Party and BJP so close, just 1%. But what suddenly happens to those voters who are not in that age group, that the gap suddenly increases in favor of BJP by say 12, 14 or 15%. So really, Rahul, I don't have an explanation to this, and I'm a little skeptical about this data about why there's just only 1% gap and suddenly it increases to such a huge number.
I'll tell you why I think so, and then you can take it to the guest. My belief is, I'm again trying to plug my article, Rahul. Here it is. In UP polls, the BJP has a clear edge.
When it comes to marketing his content, but I want to say, like Shah Rukh Khan.
I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why what's happened. The youth are angry. There are two narratives that took place in UP. There was a narrative of berozgari, of mehengai, of avara pashu. There was a narrative in UP of ration, of shasan as described as law and order, and I will tell you this at the risk of being called politically incorrect, anti-Muslim sentiment as mirrored in Hindutva. These are three competing different narratives. I believe that the narrative of avara pashu, of mehengai, made people feel disappointed with this government, also COVID management, but not angry enough to vote against the BJP, which got, Rahul, we forget, 49.5% of the vote just 2 years ago. We sometimes forget that, 49.5% in Lok Sabha elections. So they were angry, but not angry enough to vote against. On the other hand, those who was on ration, which is welfareism, those who spoke, Rahul, the language of shasan, law and order, and those who felt कि ये जो सरकारें हैं हमारी हिंदुओं की सरकार है, they were much more willing to still stand by the BJP. And just a final point, look at the politics of UP, and Rahul Srivastav knows it even better than it. Since 1990, Mulayam Singh has been Chief Minister thrice. Mulayam plus Akhilesh. Mayawati has been 4 times. 30 years you've given them a chance. Number of people I met said, इनको तो मौका दिया है, इनको केवल 5 साल दिए हैं, इनको 5 साल और देते हैं. This is a vote, if these numbers are right, of the poor. Those poor who are getting those DBT delivery benefits. Narendra Modi's government has failed, in my view, on jobs, but has succeeded on last mile delivery of basic welfare benefits. And those basic welfare benefits in COVID times, when I get 5 kilos of rice, when I get atta, when I get namak, and when I get oil, helps me. I saw it with Pinarayi Vijayan. Pinarayi Vijayan did in Kerala what no one had done for 40 years, defeated anti-incumbency. But our friend, Mr. Yogi Adityanath, is possibly doing what no one has done in 40 years, defeat anti-incumbency.
And it takes away
last mile delivery.
Some of the disappointment amongst BJP voters on the back of what happened in West Bengal. So now West Bengal is forgotten. They say, "Dekho UP mein kya kiya."
One thing very important, the decisive leadership of Narendra Modi. You know, the Prime Minister Modi has zero impact on Uttar Pradesh, and this Uttar Pradesh verdict is going to endorse his philosophy, his governance. One important thing that Bharatiya Janata Party has expanded its social base. Traditionally, we think that it's an upper caste party, but the party has expanded. That is not being analyzed and seen, because you just see that this leader is capturing this caste vote, this party is capturing this caste vote. You go to Jat land, you will find the larger number of Jat are associating with the Bharatiya Janata Party ideology. Second important, the Hindutva is not an anti-Muslim. You know, the kind of governance Yogi Adityanath ji has given, that is significant for the people, law and order. Just see the infrastructure development. Without infrastructure development, you can't imagine a state can grow in economy. Unprecedented infrastructure go to Uttar Pradesh.
UP shining
no,
नहीं
no,
है.
no.
कोई UP shining नहीं है. मैं गांव में गया हूँ. प्रीति गई है. राहुल सर, आप जानिए, लोगों की बेरोजगारी है.
आप सुन लीजिए.
Rajdeep, if they win 288 seats,
no.
One second, Rajdeep, if they win 288 seats, people want them back and they want them back in.
Yes, I've given you the reasons.
No, it is your verdict. It's not the people's verdict. Let me finish my point. You know, the Prime Minister Narendra Modi has given Uttar Pradesh another identity. The soft power of the Uttar Pradesh that is being projected. The Kashi Vishwanath, the kind of thing after 400 years.
Rajdeep, the government has done some good work. Nobody doubts that.
Law and order, you are giving importance.
I agree. On law and order, I give the government.
Not a single communal right has taken place in the last 5 years.
Yes, Rahul, very quickly, then we've got 4 guests waiting.
Rajdeep, this is what I said initially. How potent the subterranean Hindutva element is in UP, that will decide, and the marginalized. Why I say marginalized? If you see the Jat land, in that area also, the BJP has a combination of Senis, Pals, Prajapati, Kashyaps and others who actually become 40% of the population. Along with the upper caste, if you add them, the BJP has the arithmetic rise, Rajdeep. That's where these marginalized come in. BJP's arithmetic is intact, could well be intact, and the BJP could be doing. But 326, Rajdeep, is utopian.
Yeah, so we don't know.
No, even 288, Rajdeep, is definitely not happening.
Okay.
The BJP is going to lose at least 80
Thanks,
seats
Rahul
in UP.
Srivastava, for that resounding vote of confidence.
Landslide victory.
Okay, landslide victory versus Rahul predicting a much closer fight. That makes it exciting. Go ahead, Rahul. We've got lots of guests.
We've got Supriya Shrinay joining us, who I assume won't be very pleased with the results, and with good reason. Sanju Verma joins us from the BJP. Sharad Pradhan joins us. Sandeep Shastri is with us. I want to go across to Supriya Shrinay first, because we haven't heard from the Congress on Uttar Pradesh, despite all the efforts Priyanka Gandhi Vadra made in UP. When it comes to seat share, the Congress projected to bag only between 1 and 3. And when it comes to vote share, the Congress could slip from 6.2% to close to about 3%. Supriya, welcome.
Thank you very much, and a very good evening to all of you. Firstly, these aren't results like you said. This is an exit poll, and let's treat it like that, because exit polls in Bengal were also predicting a BJP victory. The palpable anger on the ground, and whoever was talking about infrastructure, I did not know who was talking about infrastructure, has perhaps forgotten how UP is one state with the number of people who are unemployed, It is a state that has seen bodies float. It is a state which has seen encounters happen. And in the name of law and order, you have a chief minister who says bulldozer and thok do. So let's not step ahead of ourselves and let's not run away with this. This is an exit poll. And please understand this, for all of you, and I know many of you have visited UP all across, when you sat in cabs and asked people who were they voting for, most of them out of fear, because the kind of, the kind of dominance one has seen of power as in Uttar Pradesh have said the BJP. When you dug further and you said you were a non-BJP sympathizer, that's when they opened up. So let's not step ahead of ourselves. These numbers do tell a story, but I don't think that's the entire picture, and this picture is going to considerably change come the 10th of March. These are only exit poll numbers, firstly.
Sanju
because
Verma?
The real issues on the ground continue to be priced.
May I? Supriya Shinde says, picture abhi baki hai, don't pop the bubbly just because, or the Ganga Jal, I mean, whatever it is that you think is the right thing to pop, but wait till the results come out on the 10th, Sanju.
You're cooler.
Okay. Rahul, I want to say first and foremost that the BJP is not a party which builds flaky castles in the air. We are confident of a victory because we work very hard for it. I think you have said it umpteen times, and I'll simply rephrase that. Be it Narendra Modi, be it JP Nadda, be it Amit Shah, be it the entire battalion of leaders. These are 24/7 politicians. These are not part-time politicians and full-time vacationers. Point number 2, a lot has been said about BJP's caste arithmetic, social engineering. I was listening to some of the panelists a while back. The fact of the matter is, I will now borrow Rajdeep Sardesai's phrase, beyond caste, beyond social engineering, beyond the religious Hindu consolidation or Muslim consolidation. The big vote bank today is the Labharti, the beneficiary. And I think the Congress has become the proverbial ostrich with its head buried under the sand. It refuses to look at facts in the eye. And I will say the same for the Samajwadi Party, because the Congress is not even in the running. The Congress is only in the running in television studios. On the ground, the Congress today is a big zero, and I'll tell you why. Be it Western UP, be it Rohilkhand, Bundelkhand, Purvanchal, Central UP, the reason why there is a sweep, there is a landslide which has never happened for an incumbent sitting chief minister, which will happen this time for the first time in 3 decades, is because of simply this. And I'll take 30 seconds to wrap up. During COVID, more than 15 crore people were fed, given free ration every month only in the state of Uttar Pradesh. 1.5 crore people benefited under the free electricity Saubhagya scheme. More than 1 crore women.
Okay, the campaigning is over. People have already decided what they thought of all those claims, and they seem to have backed them in style. Raj, one second. No. You made that point. I want to go across to Sharad Pradhan, who, in the commentary that he did during the poll, seemed to suggest that he was picking up an SP wave or an anti-Yogi sentiment, anti-Modi sentiment. It seems that, at least from this poll, there's a big difference between what you were picking up and what the poll is suggesting, Mr. Pradhan.
Well, I never said there was an SP. I always said it's a tight fight. It's a tough fight between the two. But yes, if this is to be believed, then I must say that issues like stray cattle, as Rajdeep pointed out, issues like unemployment, price rise have been of no meaning. And BJP has succeeded in its campaign, which I felt was a lot based on half-truths and falsehood. And its bombardment of advertisements has eventually overwhelmed people. And what has come as a game changer is the Labharti factor, on which the BJP was heavily dependent and was hoping that it would impress upon people that so much of freebies that they are getting.
Let's explore just a minute now. No, Sanjuji, just a minute. Let's explore this Labharti factor. Sandeep Shastri, it's not as if welfareism started only in 2014. What seems to have happened with DBT is that the delivery systems tend to reach those who need it the most, no doubt about that. The BJP claims, for example, in UP that there are about 15 crore beneficiaries of various programs in a state with a 25 crore population. Do you believe that this is the constituency that is making the difference? Is welfareism so potent that people forget about joblessness, and joblessness is a crisis, that people forget about COVID management, COVID was a problem, and suddenly say, I'm a Labharthi, the BJP has made sure that I get my ration, and that's enough for me to vote for them.
Rajdeep, I have one point.
No, he's been waiting. Yes.
Rajdeep ji, Sanjay ji is there, Rahul ji is there. We have found in our surveys and studies that and there is empirical proof for this, if the voter on the ground finds that the schemes, welfare programs, which the government is taking care of, actually reaches the people, the benefit of that has gone to a ruling party. I think there is sufficient empirical evidence to prove that point. So if the trends are going to be the way the exit poll that India Today TV is showing, if it goes in that direction, and the point you are making about Labhartis, I think it is a reflection of the fact that are you saying, sorry to interrupt, are you saying, Dr. Shastri, that if my son doesn't have a job, if my son is simply whiling away his time, as we saw in a number of places in UP, but the mother of the house is getting her 5 kilos of ration every 15 days in the last 3 months, earlier it was once a month, that's enough? If my father is a kisan who's getting
nothing is ever enough, Rajdeep. Look at the options, that is the choice.
No, I'm just
they
asking.
made a choice.
No, I'm just asking whether that is sufficient. Are we saying that welfareism, basic delivery is enough, particularly in the poorer parts, and the BJP has done even better as per the exit poll as you go into the poorer parts of UP? That's enough.
Rajdeep, there is no shadow of doubt that there is the fact of unemployment, the fact of poverty, the fact of rising prices is something on the minds of the voter, no doubt about it. But while that is on the mind of the voter, the fact that if there are certain welfare schemes that has worked, that there are certain benefits that have reached homes, that is likely to trump other factors, especially when it has made a significant difference in your life and livelihood. Now, it's not that the challenges are not there. But you
the
see
one factor which isn't being spoken of enough is just the magic of Yogi Adityanath. Now, a lot of people who may be watching may find this a bit awkward or at odds with their beliefs, but Yogi Adityanath has emerged as a chief minister who has the trust and the faith of the voters of Uttar Pradesh. According to this exit poll by Access My India for India Today, 55% of the respondents in this poll wanted to see Yogi Adityanath as the next chief minister of the state. In comparison, Akhilesh Yadav came in at 35%. The data is wrong, so pardon us, but 35% wanted Akhilesh Yadav to be the next chief minister, but a very substantial majority wanting Yogi Adityanath. And what does this mean, Rahul Verma, in the pantheon of national politics? Yogi Adityanath with 288 kind of seats, Rahul Srivastava, where does that put him in the flanks of BJP leaders?
Number 2.
You think
BJP.
so?
Definitely, Raj. Rahul, see, what Yogi Adityanath will achieve for the BJP if he wins the election, if he wins it with such a resounding number, he would have done something in UP's history which nobody has ever done. And remember, a saffron-robed chief minister could not be removed when few months back we had murmurs against him, because if the BJP has to pursue Hindutva, then a saffron-robed chief minister can't be removed. That means a saffron-robed chief minister who has won UP despite a once-in-a-lifetime pandemic is a very big political figure, and I think that's where the competition starts within the BJP, that if he is emerging star, then what happens to
Sheila
somebody
Bhatt
like
has
Amit
sharp
Shah?
insights on this. The central leadership thought 220, 230, 240, this could be more.
No, I'm not with popular thinking in Delhi journalists that Yogi will be number 2.
You don't think so?
No, not at all, because the way BJP is running since 2013, I would say, 13 onwards, and since 2014, they're from first to, I think, 20, it's Modi. So number 2 is not available.
I want to build on what Sheila Bhatt is saying. In the way that the BJP is right now, there's number 1 from 1 to 10. Everybody else comes only later. Of course, this is a phenomenal victory, make no mistake about it.
Secondly,
but who comes number 2 is a battle for much later. It's not a battle for today.
Will come only when Modi decides. Modi
Do you think Modi will decide who number 2 is?
Modi and with the combination of consensus within RSS.
Can I counter that to say, Sheila, to say that if Yogi Adityanath continues to do the work that he's done, he could have, by the end of his second term, if this term were to happen, have built enough of a base to stake his claim?
No, stake it in politics. It never happens like that, not even in Congress, not even in TMC. You can, Narsi Rao, PV Narsi Rao, after losing election, I had a meeting with him and I very softly asked him that, Mr. Rao, what do you think, will Sonia Gandhi take over as president? So he said, have you read Congress Constitution? So I said, yeah, I know how it is. So he said, why are you asking me? All politics happens around the tradition set in the party, and BJP is a very big party, and it believes in tradition and the way system works. It doesn't, and even Modi has worked through the system, not outside the system. That's why Rajnath Singh is so important in that trajectory. So Yogi is far away, and why I don't know why Delhi people never understand this.
No, also let's be.
It doesn't work like that. It has to work.
Let's ask Rakesh. Let's bowl a googly to Rakesh.
Nobody has done what Yogi has done. This whole, just a minute. This whole
I have
Yogi,
a lot of answers to give.
This whole Yogi, Modi, this whole thing, who will succeed Mr. Modi, and if this big victory that we are predicting in the exit poll comes, what does it do to Yogi? It certainly raises his stature within the BJP pantheon. Let's make no mistake about that. He will be a focus. But the Modi factor is also critical. Remember, out of all the state elections that have taken place after 2019, some of where BJP suffered setbacks and came down, even in Haryana and BJP vote share came down, Mr. Modi was not on the ticket. In my view, and this way, Mr. Modi today is on the UP ticket. This is his karma bhumi. This is where there's a direct connect between Mr. Modi and Uttar Pradesh in a way that it is not there with Bihar, in a way it is not there with Haryana, in a way it is not there with Maharashtra. Gujarat is his Janma Bhumi, and Modi and his entire machine, and there's a media propaganda machine also, has made sure that people recognize Mr. Modi as from Varanasi. And in eastern UP in particular, that makes a difference. But you want to answer Rahul's straight question, is Yogi, if these numbers are right, your number 2? Is he now number 2 if these numbers are right?
No, I think Bharatiya Janata Party. No. Look, this is not an objective type question. I am just answering that. Prime Minister Modi's leadership is very decisive leader, very successful leader in the party. There is no question of thinking about who will be successor, who will be number 2. Party is being run on the basis of democratic constitution and tradition, what Sheila ji has rightly pointed out. But one thing I will point out that here Uttar Pradesh elections victory, much credit will go to Prime Minister Modi, because his leadership, the intent of his leadership, people have faith in his intention. There may be many issues which are unresolved or partially resolved, but the people have the faith in Prime Minister Modi. Second important thing, that people always criticize Prime Minister Modi in terms of Hindutva and the communal politics, majoritarian politics, but you fail to see the meaningful welfare state has been inaugurated by Prime Minister Modi. Till now, the welfare state was a symbolic, and the people.
You're not answering. You're not answering Rahul's question.
No, this is not to be. But Prime Minister, we have the leader, most successful leader, most acceptable leader, and most credible leader we have. Why should we think in those terms? We are not the Mughal ruler.
No, but can I point out a very significant data point that helps understand why people voted for the BJP, if at all they did. So on the question of why you voted for the party that you did, and when you look at BJP voters, because they thought that the BJP could help improve the condition of UP, Rajya ke Vikas ke liye comes in at number 1 at 27%. Because of the party itself, so amongst BJP voters, they voted for the BJP because of the party, 12%. Kanun Vyavastha achhi hui, improvement in law and order, 10%. CM candidate, 7%. CM candidate is amongst the top choices. Rajya Sarkar Yojana ke tahat free ration. So free ration comes in at 11%. If you come down that rank, Sarkari Yojanaon ka labh mila. Labharthi is 9%, Prime Minister Modi 8%. So it's not as if there's only one factor, Rahul Verma. It's a combination of factors, including just the belief that BJP was best suited for Rajya ke Vikas ke liye to develop the state. That's the reality.
Yes, there are many factors in any election, and it seems from this data that BJP seems to be doing well on most of those factors. So the way I think about elections are won or lost on accumulated sentiments on 5 things. One is the ideological platform or narrative. The second one is basically social coalition. Third one is leadership. Fourth one is there are 2 other factors, right? So basically on those five factors, BJP seems to stand perhaps taller or 1 or 2 points ahead of SP, but the kind of gap this survey is basically showing of more than 10 percentage point gap between 2, I think that's a lot. And then basically BJP being able to head, and I also want to join that to Adityanath's point. So far everyone was basically thinking that if BJP is going to get hurt in UP in terms like if 50, 60, 70 seats come down, it's largely because of perhaps Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath and the way he governed the state. But now we are talking in a very, very different world where Adityanath not only returns back, but returns back with a bigger victory.
You know, we'll come with the headlines in a moment, but to take your point forward, and I think this is important for viewers to recognize, because we traditionally see UP through the prism of caste, and especially in the post-Mandal age, post-1990, we've seen it. One community, and this is just an illustration, SC non-Jatav, that's the non-Jatav Dalit. For years we thought कि मायावती का जो वोट है वो 22% का वोट है, that is Jatav plus non-Jatav. इस बार क्या हुआ है? SC non-Jatav, BJP 51%, and this confirms what CSPS also found out in 2019 Lok Sabha. SP 27%, that's almost less than half of that. BSP only 15%. So Mayawati, we have seen her as a Dalit icon, but even within the non-Jatav Dalits, who are 11% of UP, only other 11 are Jatavs, she gets only 15% of that. Take a look at what happens within the Kurmi, the other OBCs. Now, traditionally, these other OBCs are the largest block of UP. This is where Amit Shah got it right. He recognized Yadav are with Mulayam Akhilesh. Dalits, by and large, at that time were seen to be with Mayawati. Muslims were seen to be with whoever between Mayawati and Mulayam would give them power. The non-Yadav OBCs were critical. As per this Axis survey, 65%, which is slightly less than last time. The 2019 was about 70%. They are at 65. SP.
And this is why these numbers are a bit confusing, because they so 2019 BJP plus vote share were 42% overall. Now what we are projecting is 46, but in every segment, and I got to look at this just for 2 minutes, in every segment BJP's vote from 2019 is down.
No, 1 minute. They got 49.5%. Let us assume they will come down by 3-4% compared to 2019. Right? Okay. But they are coming up from 2017. 2017 they got 39%. As per this survey, they are going up from that 39%. So they are actually doing better as per this survey. And remember,
Rajdeep, I can't resist because you are citing various segments of voter. Also look at in the data, 27% women, and 72% men. And the party which is getting 46% vote has a lead among women voters by 16%. And the sample in generally they are 48% of the total voters. But they are only 27-28% in the sample. How can a party get 46% votes in a...
We'll get Pradeep to debate that, because that's an important point. My point, sir, is this.
Since you were advocating for how BJP has been able to get to 46% vote, I thought this is also an important data.
Can I suggest
this is also an important data to be cited to the viewers.
But I'm just trying to tell you, when I look across castes, at the end of the day, we have had a traditional impression of UP of the way the castes are divided. Now we have seen, and if these numbers, and it's a big if these numbers are right, for 4 successive elections, 2014, 2017, 2019 and 2022, the BJP has completely upturned UP's traditional caste arithmetic. 65% versus 70%. They got even more in 2019. There was a wave that time. But this is, if these numbers are right, also a wave. And significantly, they got 39% of the vote. Rahul in 2017, they are up to 46. And what has happened? I'll tell you, we must realize this. It has become two-cornered. But the gap is 10%. BSP, which was a 20% party, as per this poll is down to 12%. Congress, which was a 5% party, is down to 3%. In the Dhuvikaran, except, and viewers must know this, there are only 38 constituencies in UP where Muslim plus Yadav are more than 50%. And those are the constituencies where the SP is winning. Outside that, the SP doesn't have an incremental vote. Incremental votes gone to the BJP.
Any political party,
as per this survey,
any political party which is not inclusive or trying to become inclusive cannot rule any state.
So Sanjay Kumar, here's what seems to have happened according to this poll, and I want you to build on it. There's been a massive Yadav and Muslim consolidation in favor of the Samajwadi Party. 83% of the Muslims, 86% of the Yadavs. But there has been, as Amit Shah predicted, a massive non-Yadav, non-Muslim consolidation for the BJP, including breaking away the Mayawati non-Jatav Dalit vote, which is one of the reasons why the BJP is doing better than most people probably thought.
Nowhere I am trying to suggest that these polls are off the mark or BJP is not leading. If Rajdeep had been saying that he wrote an article op-ed 10 days ago, I can say I have been maintaining this stand for the last 4 months that BJP is winning these elections. Nowhere I have said that BJP is not winning election. I still maintain that stand. But my only anxiety is about the extent of BJP's victory. That's my only anxiety.
Okay, so Pradeep Gupta is joining us. Come, Pradeep, join us. We'll take you through the headlines and we'll ask Pradeep all these questions. Why is he showing a bigger victory than all other pollsters? Is it he's come dancing down the track again? He's saying BJP is going to whack it out of the park. Will it whack it out of the park, or will Pradeep Gupta get stumped? That's the question. We'll look at that. But here are the headlines we're tracking at 9.
India Today Axis My India predicts a massive landslide for the BJP in Uttar Pradesh. The party could even cross the 300-seat mark. The Samajwadi Party way behind, likely to settle 71 to 101 seats. The BSP Congress getting wiped out. This could be the first time any party would have a clear majority after having been an incumbent in the last 40 years.
AAP set for a sweep in Punjab. The party expected to bag between 76 and 90 seats. The Congress likely a distant second with between 19 and 31.
Goa set for a hung assembly with a slight edge to the Congress. Exit poll shows BJP to get 14 to 18. Congress could win 15 to 20 seats. TMC could open its account, but MGP could hold the key to power as a pre-poll ally.
BJP likely to return to power in Uttarakhand with 36 to 46 seats, while its contender Congress may manage to get just between 20 and 30. India Today Access My India predicts BJP supremacy in Manipur with between 33 and 43 seats. Congress could settle for between 4 and 8.
Damage and destruction continue on day 12 of the Ukraine invasion. Russia declares a ceasefire to help India evacuate its citizens from the 4 worst hit cities after PM calls on Putin and Zelensky. Okay, let's look though